What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another exciting episode of the Viall's Reality Recap Edition. I'm your host, Nick. The Super Bowl happened last night. Congratulations.
And I'm wearing Valentine's Day socks.
Oh, yeah.
Cute.
It's Valentine's Day week.
I love the little hearts.
Did you know it was Valentine's Day week, honey?
Oh my gosh, I sure did.
Okay. On Friday.
Sounds convincing.
There'll be hugs and flowers. But we'll be
Hugs
at
and I made you a basket, a Valentine's Day basket.
and I got you flowers, but like we'll be traveling and I have to reschedule those flowers. I already ordered the flowers.
I've already curated
That's
your
how-
basket, but
that's
a
how in love
basket has
I
like
am
so
with
many
you.
different things in it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's no basket for you.
There's still time.
It's
There's
just
still
like a
time.
stocking
Yeah.
stuffer?
Kind of. It's a Valentine's Day basket.
Oh
It's
my
like an
God.
Easter basket, Valentine's Day basket.
Just go to Target.
I was walking through Target the other day, and the way that they have multiple aisles of the cutest little Valentine's Day gifts, and I'm like, it really is so easy.
It also
Shut
is
up,
so
Maya.
easy because Nick
It could be so easy.
Nick has a running wish list in his notes app that we both share access to,
Mhm.
and it's
There's
it's
no
a
stocking
link.
stuffer ideas in there.
But is there a bag, perhaps, that could fit in a stocking?
Yeah, maybe a
I think
bag.
there's a pair of like
The
shoes,
stuff.
like a couple of
A pair of earrings that could pack away easily?
a pair
I just wanted to give the Philadelphia Eagles a congratulatory shout out. You know, good for them. They won the Super Bowl. And I say this as someone who really hates them.
I was rooting for them.
I was rooting for them too.
I didn't watch.
But credit to them and their fans. You know, shout out to their fans. If you're a Philadelphia Eagles fan, it really was like a dream season.
Mhm.
You guys were the best team pretty much the whole year. So congrats to you guys. And Nick Sirianni, though. Honestly, if you don't know anything about the Philadelphia, he's their coach.
Hot.
He's a good-looking guy.
Yeah,
yeah.
He's been known to argue with his players, argue with fans, argue with some of the coaches. He's definitely in some circles like an easy guy to like critique.
Okay, I was going to say, because that sounds not so hot.
Some people thought
I
they
think
were.
that's
cool.
Some people thought he was gonna get fired, but I gotta say, at the end of the game, really presented family man. Listen, I always respect someone who has a lot of critics, who says "fuck you" to the noise and comes out on top, and he very much did.
Period.
So
Did you know that Jalen Hurts, he's the quarterback for the Eagles? He
Is hot.
since not last year but the year before when they lost in the Super Bowl against the Chiefs, there's like a famous picture of him that went viral of him walking off the field with the like red and gold confetti like falling everywhere,
As a
and it's
loser.
him just as a loser. They lost,
as it,
and he's,
yeah, not a he
Mhm.
lost the game.
they lost the game, and he's like walking off the field, and he said that photo has been his wallpaper up until yesterday.
On his phone,
Yeah,
Ah,
like his motivation.
inspo.
His moto,
Mm.
yeah.
That's awesome.
maybe just thought he looked hot.
I think it was like a motivation type of thing.
Maybe it was like,
but-
He was
Yeah,
like,
like in that-
damn, even when I lost, I looked good. And then he wasn't, you know who wasn't in Abbott Elementary? Any of the Chiefs. That's all I'll say about that.
How do you think Taylor Swift handled Travis's, loss? What do you think her technique is?
I think she handled it as well as she got booed. So-
She did get booed.
But I will, in Taylor's defense, I would think it was heavily Eagles fans. So
That's
I think,
what it seemed
I
like
think
to me.
Eagles fans were booing the Chief fan. I don't think this was like people booing Taylor Swift. Could be wrong, but I don't think so.
If Taylor Swift can sit through half of a stadium booing her and she can just sit there and take that, like I can take anything that
Yeah,
comes my
So
way.
true.
So how do you think Taylor consoles Trav?
Yeah. I asked you because you're like the one who I have my technique with you, and that's duct tape my mouth shut.
I think you give him time. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
Mhm.
the worst thing. I'll never forget this fight I got in with like a first girlfriend who thought like, and she wasn't trying to console me. She was trying to irritate me. It was after the Packers lost to the Philadelphia Eagles, 4th and 22.
Oh, no.
Packers, it was 4th and 22.
Wow.
All they had to do was stop 4th and 22, and they didn't. The Eagles won that game. And right afterwards, she was like just hanging on me and just thought she could make it all better. And
Wasn't she like, why won't you hug me?
Yes.
Like touch me?
why won't
Like,
you
why
hug
won't
me?
you-"
Like, why am I not enough? You know,
Not time.
because you're not. You know,
Not
because
right
you don't
now.
play defense.
280 pounds linebacker.
If Taylor really wanted to help Travis, she would have gotten on the field because I know she can run laps around them. You know what she does on
Truly.
those stadiums?
I hope she doesn't go home, turn on Shake It Off, and start dancing in the middle of the living room.
Yeah.
I doubt she would.
I don't
But
think
I
she
did
would.
see the video of him walking into her suite after, and he looked so sad.
You look good though.
He's
In that
very
suit.
handsome.
There were a lot of
handsome.
people
the hair's
saying
flowing.
The hair's flowing.
I did see
He
some funny
actually
tweets.
looks better sad.
You think?
Yeah.
Do you think
I
Jason
think
is
so. I
sad
think
for
he's cute or
retiring
sad.
a year too early? I mean, his
Yeah.
brother beat him 2 years ago in the Super Bowl. Then last year, his team barely even made the playoffs, and then he lost in a very kind of tragic end of the year for the Eagles.
Well,
and then they come
sometimes
back.
people say like maybe they wouldn't have won if Jason would have been there. Like maybe everything was perfect the way that it was,
Maybe.
and throwing a little
Possible.
like
They
something
did win by a
different in.
lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think if I was Jason Kelsey and I got to just sit back and watch my boys beat my brother, that would be really fun.
Did they ask Jason who he would be rooting for? Did he say? I'm assuming somewhere in the 5,000 questions he's been asked, he didn't say.
I don't know.
Would it not be the Chiefs?
You would think his brother, but he played his whole career with the Eagles. Like it's not his brother's team.
Oh, he said, I would be lying if I said I don't want the Eagles to win. I want them to. But I also want Travis Kelsey to win. So that's a long-winded way of saying I just want a good football game. And whoever wins, I'm going to be happy for that guy. It wasn't really that good of a football game. It was kind of a
It was a
blowout.
shitty football game.
Yeah,
we started
so-
watching We finished Traitors.
But did you see the Google Pixel commercial?
Which one was that one?
It was when the dad was like applying for a job, and he was like, it was like to AI or something, like Google Pixel's AI, and it was like, what is the hardest job that you have ever had? And he like explains parenting, and it's like, what was the most rewarding thing you learned from that job? And it's about parenting, and it's like, and how have you worked as a team? And it's about parenting, and it was just like so. And he like and he had like a little girl, and she like grew up, and she went to college. And he was like being able to depend on people who also depend.
Well, speaking of AI commercials, really hated the Martha Stewart
dancing.
dancing with
Skechers.
Skechers. Hated
Yeah.
that. How did
Mhm.
Martha approve that? That was not giving grace
Wow.
and sophistication.
Wow.
I like to think the approval was a good paycheck.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
like, I feel like
I
most
hope
of the
so.
commercials were AI for the Super
It's
Bowl.
terrible.
Yeah.
It was so gross.
Yeah.
Some of them were just like two people face to face. I don't even know if the Snoop Dogg Tom Brady one. I was like, is this AI?
Oh, yeah.
These two people don't look like they're in the same room together.
It just is like really depressing. Super Bowl commercials used to mean something.
Yeah.
You know
I
what
don't
I
think
mean?
they ever meant anything, but they were better.
No,
I
do you
mean,
remember that
no.
Bud Light one with the
Which
horse?
one? With the
horses?
Oh, and the dog.
horses.
No,
There
they
was a lot of good Bud Light.
No, that
commercials.
one. Yeah, Bud Light
The
always
Cindy
crushes. Did
Crawford
they have one?
Pepsi commercial is an
Mhm.
all-timer.
Did they have one this year? The Bud Light.
I
I
didn't
don't
see
know.
the
I was trying to
horses.
skip through to get to currently in the football game, and Nick wouldn't allow me.
Yeah.
I was like, the commercials used
Yeah,
to be for everyone.
I put River to bed,
Uh-huh.
and we pressed pause on the game when I put River to bed, and then River's asleep. We're about 12 minutes behind the game. We're talking to no one. No one's on their phone. And Natalie felt the need to catch up, fast forward to real time. I was like, who are we catching up with? It's just us. It's just you and I. Like, you have a burning desire to get on Twitter? Like,
felt
and
left
check
out.
she wanted to like skip all the
I
commercials,
wanted
skip all
to
the
be where everyone
plays.
was. I felt like everyone else knew what was happening, and we didn't.
And who were you texting with about the game?
Nobody. It was just an inner.
You were
It was an inner
live tweeting.
problem.
You knew.
Yeah.
It was triggering.
Wow.
Sorry.
Almost as triggering as Craig's appearance on Watch What Happens Live.
We don't want to talk Kendrick Lamar's boot cut flare jeans.
Yeah,
I
we-
loved
must.
them.
Ah, yes. Let's go back.
I did not like the jeans.
Am I supposed to be wearing these in a year?
You guys, he's
Yes.
5'2". They made him look taller. He's a
No,
short guy,
loved.
and that's why I said
Absolutely
they fit
loved.
his
Loved.
body.
Okay, so this is not like
I
a
wish-
cultural, like, hey, change up, baggy pants, or, we had skinny jeans, now I have to go boot cut?
I'm not
I wouldn't
opposed
say
to
those are
it.
baggy. That's a good tight fitting boot cut with a flare.
That's my concern. I've just recently
I-
transitioned into a baggy jean.
Honey, I don't think Kendrick Lamar is giving us the next fashion trend.
I just wanna
I
make
think
sure,
he's
'cause
just
this
doing
is-
what works for him.
Okay,
Yes,
but like
I
artists,
agree. He's
making
musical
a
artists
statement.
tend to
Start trends.
I
Start
think
trends.
that him calling out Drake like that in those jeans is the best thing that could ever happen. Like
Truly.
if your biggest hater wears a boot cut flare and everyone cheers for him for your demise,
It's going to be hard for you to
Why
come
do
back
we
It's
from
care-
that.
really hard for you to come
and
back
why do
from
we
that.
care about Drake and Lamar fighting? I mean, I know they've
Lamar.
been fighting.
It's
Yeah,
the-
it's like one of the biggest rap beefs that have happened
In
in
Mr.
years,
Lamar.
and that was like
Yeah,
a full
the
year.
diss tracks.
Yeah,
his diss track won a
Diss track.
Grammy.
Okay.
He called Drake a pedophile
Yeah.
and everyone like cheered
Drake is suing.
Is Drake a pedophile?
Well,
well,
allegedly.
allegedly.
Drake.
And according to the Grammys
and the
and the NFL
Golden Globes.
and the Golden Globes.
What was it with that they sang like everybody? Oh, the Grammys. You're right. It's
Yeah, the
sorry.
Grammys. Everyone in the recording academy went a minor, and they literally during Kendrick's performance they unmuted the audience during that line, so you could hear everyone in the stadium yell a minor.
That was a good performance.
Yes.
Right. I enjoyed.
He also wore a necklace with a lowercase
A.
a.
And he cheesed so hard
The
when he
Easter
said,
eggs
"Hey,
were
Drake."
Easter egg,
Yeah.
yeah.
And he
was
brought
Easter eggy.
both of his ex-girlfriends out.
Yep. I watched
Mhm.
this performance and I was like, okay, great. And then I really thought about it.
It's a lot of energy focused on Drake, to be honest.
He's a true hater.
He
at
did
heart.
win a
part of the
Grammy.
feud is.
Drake
That's how you
tried.
feud.
Yeah, Drake tried
Yeah.
and got demolished.
Yeah.
But he also is like suing the production company
Drake is?
that like put out the Kendrick Lamar. Isn't it his own record label?
It's like his
actually,
record label,
Yeah.
he's suing them for basically being like,
Wow, it's crazy.
yeah,
but not Kendrick Lamar. So did he lie or not?
Exactly.
About what?
Because he's suing, I think, the record label or something for defamation or something, but he's not suing Kendrick Lamar, who actually said the things that you would be suing for.
Well, doesn't his record, I mean, you would sue.
Would
his
you
com-
not sue the person that's directly
record
along
la-
with the record
is
label?
Is Kendrick Lamar? I mean, I'm not a lawyer. I don't know how it works.
My
but
point saying is Kendrick Lamar did not lie because you have nothing to sue
isn't
him
he
for.
suing his label?
He's suing the label
The
for
label
putting
has
it
more
out
money.
for money. Exactly.
Okay, well, Drake's hiding in Australia right now,
So-
where Kendrick is on stage at the Super Bowl. So I think we know who won.
Yeah. Game
Okay.
over.
Well, I can move on with this week now, knowing. Before we get into our next topic, don't forget to check out Viall Files Plus. You can sign up for it on viallfiles.com, or if you listen to this podcast through Apple Podcasts, you can sign up directly through that platform. Check out our pop extras every week, which is all your favorite pop culture topics we didn't get to talk about during Reality Recap, or Vanderpump Recaps, or our update specials, which is all your favorite updates to some of the juiciest stories on Ask Nick and Texting Office Hours. That's all on Viall Files Plus, so check it out. It's free to sign up. You get a 7-day free trial. It's a lot of fun. You won't regret it. We'll see you all there.
Well, Paige and Craig is also moving on, allegedly, according to him. He doesn't want to be
I
involved.
was very triggered by this. I was. I really feel for Craig. For those of you who don't know, Craig went on Watch What Happens Live last Thursday and was asked by Andy Cohen about his breakup with Paige. Specifically asked about the accusations that Kyle and Amanda threw Craig's way about like not quote unquote sticking up for Paige amidst the accusations that Paige has moved on too quickly from Craig, a la like allegations about cheating and things like that. And this was Craig's response.
Just podcast, she was clear she never cheated physically or emotionally. Do you co-sign that?
I'm great. I don't want to be involved. Like,
Well, you are involved.
no, I'm not. I got broken up with. I'm the ex-boyfriend. I'm the
Okay.
ex-boyfriend now, moving on with my life.
Okay.
But I'm not going to get sucked into the mud with them. Like her cast, like commenting on how I'm grieving and that I'm sorry that I'm not reading Reddit every day and getting on there and defending her. Like, I never said you cheated. So I'm not a part of this.
Amanda chimed in to say you should have
that's
defended
insane.
Paige
Mental.
against the cheating rumors, but instead
I
sent the
think I can
dogs
agree.
after her because you like sympathy.
Because Paige lied on her podcast and said the breakup was mutual. I didn't tell her what to say. I got a text and she said, I'm announcing it on my podcast. And then she said it was mutual, which it wasn't. I didn't know about it. She called me and told me. And she said, yeah, that was pretty much, I mean, it's been a whirlwind, but yes. So I've been sitting in it, listening to people be like, love isn't enough. Guess what? Love is enough. And I hate that I'm being drugged into that. If two people love each other, you'll make it work. And for all the long distance people watching, like, we didn't want different things. She just wanted other people, and that's fine. Like, she didn't want those things with me anymore. And like, I'm not mad at her for that, but like, I don't like this love isn't enough thing because like, you'll make it work.
On Paige,
I really felt for the guy
sad,
there.
I know.
I agreed with everything he said except for the love is enough part. But like when Craig was in that moment, like it really brought me back to like having my heart broken. And I just think there's just not like, I also like compare this to the Rachel Cookile and Matt James breakup of it all. And I find it to be like, not surprising, but like the audience's reaction to be, again, not surprising, but like polar opposites from like ultimately like, we just have two couples where two people broke up.
Mhm.
Like one person decided they didn't want to be in a relationship with the other person. As far as we know, there's no infidelity, no like scandalous behavior. Like I totally get why Craig wasn't want to like jump up and like, you know, have his ex-girlfriends back. But like I believe Paige at the same time. And then like the Matt James breaks up with Rachel and we're acting as if like Matt James is on his way to Africa on a one-way ticket. He's been exiled from the United States because like Pop Culture Nation and Bachelor Nation are eviscerating this guy because he didn't kind of go about it the right way.
But they seemingly broke up for the exact same reasons.
Yeah.
Like Paige broke up with Craig because she didn't see her like settling and marrying him. And Matt broke up with Rachel because he said she had qualities that he didn't see in a wife. It's the exact same thing.
Yeah.
And it's like Matt James is vilified and he's the breaker-upper. And Craig is being vilified and he's the one who got broken up with. And it's like, how did that happen?
And I get it. We're like, we listened to Rachel and she's like, you know, he broke up with me in Japan and I got on a plane. And then the next thing you know, like he's posting a prayer and everyone knows about it. And again, that was weird on Matt's part. But like, imagine if Rachel was like, yeah, and like we broke up. And then the next thing you know, like I get a random text message from Matt being like, I'm announcing it on like one of the biggest podcasts in the nation. And not asking, not checking in, just saying, I'm going to do this. And then you find out Matt James like decided to like mention that it was a mutual breakup instead of the fact that he decided like instead the truth was he was like, yeah, I just don't think you're wife material. Imagine the reaction we would all have. We would lose our fucking minds if that's what Matt James did to Rachel. I'm just saying, like.
Well, Paige and Craig broke up Thanksgiving time. And
Okay.
then he wasn't ready to announce or go public with it. And she gave him the space and time.
Okay. Yeah.
They had been broken up for a while. And then she saw a post where he seemed single. And so then she was like, okay, if he's going out looking single, like must be time to announce this. So she texted him and said that she was going to announce it on his her podcast. And he didn't reply.
He never responded.
I don't think Paige did anything wrong either. I mean, I guess.
But I don't think that people are like vilifying Craig that much. Like, I think that people
No,
are
they're not.
vilifying both of them. And if Paige is getting enough hate that she wanted support from Craig. And I think that like if they've been dating for long enough, it's like you still care about each other. Just because it's not going to work out doesn't mean that you didn't put in a lot of time in that relationship and have a lot of love for the person. So I just think that like it's not a crazy ask to be like, hey, I'm getting kind of killed out.
I think
here.
it's a crazy ask.
It's a crazy ask to
It's
be
a
like, I
crazy
need you to
ask.
fight with trolls and Reddit people
it's an
for
absolutely
me. That is
insane
crazy.
ask. Imagine if Matt James went to Rachel Kirkconnell after the breakup and said, can you like go again? Craig's heart is broken. Like, I don't know if you've ever heard your heart broken or everyone listening who's had their heart broken, but when your heart is broken, when like someone that you were in your mind and with them at like not too long ago, talking about a future with them, even if they were like mentally checked out and you didn't even realize, and then you find out that person just doesn't want to be with you. Like, and listen, no one's about like, hey, just you got to move on more than me because I'm someone who like struggled moving on from relationships, but I know the pain it feels when like someone breaks your heart. And Craig has to do this on a national fucking platform. And for all the people out there who are critiquing his Watch What Happens live performance and like appearance in like December when he was allegedly broken up with Paige and like kind of talked as if they were still together. Like, if I'm in Craig's shoes when I was having my heart broken, I truly don't know how I would have handled it or what that would be like. Or like, I'm not saying he handled it perfectly, but like the man had a broken heart. And then Paige breaks up with him. And again, fine. It doesn't sound like she was totally honest about like, the fact, okay, listen, I'm of the opinion like two people break up, fine. And like, but if you're going to break someone's heart, then like you don't get to be the sympathetic partner or the party, you know, you kind of are the bad guy. You are. Like, I don't think Paige should be criticized, but she broke someone's heart and she had the right to break their heart. But she like, if she's going to go on a podcast and like not tell the truth, that is her spinning the narrative. On some level, she is trying to control the narrative because she is trying to get sympathy in some way from her audience by not saying, hey, listen, I just didn't want to be with him. Like, she wasn't cold. Like, she didn't give the Matt James, hey, listen, I just don't think you're wife material. She didn't go, you know, she was just like, hey, I don't want to be with you. And she broke his heart and she has the right to do that. But like, Paige decided to go out to a Philadelphia Eagles game very publicly. When I was in a public breakup, regardless, we were both happy to be out of that relationship. And nevertheless, we still decided to like hide for a couple months and be mindful of our behavior and be mindful of how we presented in public and who we were with because we just wanted to make it easy on ourselves and the other person. Paige decided not to do that. And she had every right not to do that, but she doesn't get to then demand Craig to have her back online when people start critiquing and like questioning who she's hanging out with.
Okay, fair that that Craig doesn't need to go scour Reddit. But when presented with the opportunity by Andy Cohen to squash the cheating rumors,
How does he know what she's doing? I'm sorry, no. Like again,
Well,
she has a
cheating
broken
rumors.
heart. I'm sorry,
But to squash a cheating rumor is pretty easy. It's basically being like, no, she didn't cheat on me.
How does he know that? How does he know?
And he also did say that he's like, I wasn't the one who said that you cheated. So therefore, I am taking myself out of this. I have nothing to do with
But
it.
I mean, I'm not saying she did anything, but like he doesn't know what the fuck she's been up to. And he feels like he was blindsided. Anytime someone blindsided with a breakup, your first question is there someone else? Is there another guy? Like,
I mean, he said at the end of it, she didn't
want me. She
Yeah,
wanted
she
someone
wanted other
else.
people.
Like, you know, I'm sure he's had thoughts and of like maybe men she's been kind of talking to. She literally had the guy from SNL like in the fucking comments joking with her about like actually cheating. And again, we all thought it was funny because it was a guy from SNL. But if you're Craig in that moment, your heart is torn out. It's like, I'm just saying, like, I know what it's like to be in Craig's shoes. I don't think Paige did anything wrong. She has the right to do whatever the fuck she wants. But to sit there and expect Craig to defend her honor, I think is insanity.
Right, because you could very easily say, I'm single and I can do whatever I want. She
It's
is.
clearly Paige is, and as she should. But
she
like to
should.
sit there and have Kyle and Amanda, which love, you know, they're great. But like and have your girls back. But like Craig has every right to feel the way he does, and he has every right to just be like, that's her business. I'm no longer in her life anymore. Like, do you think Paige checking in with Craig when she's out with another guy in public at a Phillies game? How's your heart, Craig? Just checking in, like.
I mean, I don't think they owe each other anything.
I don't.
But I don't think that Paige was asking this super huge big thing of Craig just to like.
She doesn't get to ask him anything. Nothing.
Yeah. Broke
Period.
up with him.
I mean, I don't know. I don't disagree. But I also think that Paige has to navigate this breakup differently than Craig does because of her role, because she is a woman online. And I think that like, I don't know. I don't necessarily think that he owes her anything, but I think that when you are aware of the things that have been said about Paige, he could, and I'm not saying he has to, he could be like, you know what?
Of course he
That's
could.
fucked up.
Of course it would be the nice thing to do, but like he has.
He doesn't
the
have
right-
to be nice.
That's the thing. He doesn't have to be nice. I don't think.
But he
is
did.
being-
He sat on Watch What Happens Live and he said, I never said she cheated. That is him defending her. He said, those words never came out of my mouth. I'm not involved with Reddit rumors. I'm not involved with TikTok journalists. I never said that. So like, take those rumors for what you will, but I wasn't a part of them.
Fair enough.
That's him defending her, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I don't think he's not nice for not saying more. You know, like would he be extra nice if he went on and said like Paige would never, and she's got, you know, she's the greatest person in the world, and like her character is like second to none. That would be the nicest thing, of course, for him
But he's
to say.
heartbroken and she's at an Eagles game with another guy.
But
so
to
like,
yeah,
it
but to
makes
suggest
sense
that he's not being nice because he's just minding his own fucking business and trying to move on because clearly this is a man who has his heart broken.
Well, and he's also not going out of his way to say terrible things about Paige.
No, he's not.
You know what I mean? So on the flip side, you can even say it's balanced that you have Austin making commentary on Paige. You've got Kyle and Amanda making commentary on Craig, but he's not saying anything about Paige. He has not said that she's an awful person or that she deserves any of this. And when he did do his little story, he made it very clear that like we split. I was a little blindsided by it, but like nobody deserves any hate. Please be kind to Paige, be kind to me. And like what else do you want him to say besides going on a daily PSA for his ex?
I mean, like watching last week's episode of Southern Charm when he had like the sit down with Shep and Austin and like Shep's mediating. Like, I really feel like I know where Craig's at in his life, and I really feel for him. He's in this like transitional period, right? He is clearly outgrowing his friends. Like, so Shep and Austin are two guys who still like really want to hang on to like all the boys get together 3-4 times a week, play golf, drink beers, you know, swap stories. And Craig's like, I want more. I want a family. I want to settle down. I want to create a family. Like and nothing's been more enjoyable in my life than creating a family, right? So I get where Craig's coming from. He's outgrowing his best friends in the world. He's outgrowing them. And then the person he wanted to outgrow them for decided to leave him. And again, she had every right to do that. Like, people break up. But like, he's 40 years old. He very much feels like probably alone and on an island. Like, it's like, I'm sure he has his friends, but that's not where he wants to be. You know, he really wants to be with this person who like you know, didn't want to be with him. And like, he's right. She didn't want to be with him. I mean, I will say the only thing I disagree with is love is enough, because it's not like, there's nothing I learned more about relationships is that you do have to have a lot in common with your partner. You have to enjoy doing things together on a regular basis. Everything can't be a compromise. Certainly not where you live. Certainly not like how you raise your kids. Certainly not like when you want to start a family. Those are like what people call non-negotiables. And like, those break up relationships all the time. And so like, I have learned the hard way, because I used to be Craig. I used to be like, you can just muscle through love. And like, you have to like get along, because like relationships in general are that hard. And even when you have so much in common, tons of compromises have to be made. And if you have to compromise all the time, every day about every little thing, like, I'm sorry, love just is not enough.
And like, you have to have the same timelines. It's like, I think that's why me and you worked the way that we did, is because we both wanted the same things at the same time. And I think clearly we see Craig and Paige not wanting the same thing. Also, I think it's insane that people are reporting on him and Sally being at Nobu in New York and like trying to make it a thing. It's like,
they're castmates.
It's a co-star.
Yeah.
Like, he's out to dinner with a fucking castmate, with a coworker.
Yeah.
Like, come on, people.
And even watching this week's episode where Paige and Craig are talking, I'm watching it with my boyfriend, and he looks at me and he's like, so who's in the wrong here? And I go, literally neither. They're both 100% right, because Paige is saying, hi, I'm 31 years old. I'm not ready to have kids and be settled down. I don't see myself on a farm in Charleston. Okay. And then you've got Craig, who's like, okay, well, like, when are you thinking? Can I get a timeline? I'm ready to have kids. I'm nearing 40. I want to be like active with my kids. He's in the right too for saying, I want to get married and have kids in the next 2 years. And Paige is in the right for saying, I don't want those things.
Yeah.
So like, neither one of them are a bad guy in this situation. It's just unfortunate two people, exactly as you said, are just not on the same page.
But to the person whose heart you're breaking, you are the bad guy. And you,
sure.
In every breakup, everyone wants to like, that's why they're like, it's not you, it's me. And that's why people say shit like that, because they don't want to feel like a dick. But you are breaking someone's heart. You are. And then that's just a tough fact of life. And Paige is breaking Craig's heart. And maybe Matt broke Rachel's heart. And like, they're kind of the bad guy. Like, I don't think us publicly need to vilify those people. But like, I do think Paige is trying to like spin it just a little bit where she doesn't like, so she's not the bad guy at all. Where like, and I don't think we should vilify her, but her saying it was a mutual breakup was kind of shady. If you're Craig with a broken heart, that feels a certain type of way.
But does it feel better for her to go on her podcast and be like, yeah, I didn't want to be with him anymore, so I broke up with him? Would that feel worse for him?
No good
I mean,
way.
it's the truth, but like, could it be argued that she was trying to like
No, I don't think
spare
for a
his feelings in that
second,
moment?
I do not think for a second when she made that lie, she was sparing anyone's feelings but her own. And that, because that's people, human nature.
I also can't imagine like Craig sitting at home and like getting seeing a notification being like, oh, Craig and Paige breakup mutual. And he's like, what the fuck? No, it wasn't. Like, I didn't want to break up with her. I love her, you know?
When you get your heart broken, yeah, you want that person to own what they did to you. And if what they did to you is breaking your heart, you want them to own that.
He also said on Watch What Happens Live, she made me promise not to break up weekly. And like, that Uno reverse card is like wild.
Like,
so
they would do like a pinky promise or something, being like, promise
But
you won't
she
break
was
up with me.
I mean,
and that reverse card is...
I would chalk that in the category of like, people say shit in relationships. That's Craig being a little petty and a little heartbroken. And which, if I'm in Craig's shoes, I completely get why you said that. And if you're in Craig's shoes, you're
He's thinking of
you're
everything.
relitigating everything that was said to you and everything that now feels like a lie. But that, like,
she could have meant it at the time.
Yeah, sure, exactly.
Well, exactly. Like, maybe it was a mutual breakup and he's just like, there's no way to know like what the actual truth is, because he could have misremembered their conversation. She could be misremembering their conversation. Like, she could not be doing this intentionally, like, I'm gonna lie and make myself look better. It could just be that her perception of the breakup was that it was mutual.
That's
because
insane.
they were on different pages.
That's insane, Leia.
This conversation...
Why? What?
That's you think Paige just misremembered and thought her breakup with Craig was mutual?
Leia's saying to Paige
Well, I
it was
don't think that-
mutual. Like to
Yeah,
Paige.
maybe to Paige's
Yeah.
perception was that it was a mutual breakup and that they were
That's
on
like
different.
that would be like if
mutual.
someone
Hold on.
cheated. I mean,
It's
like, well,
only-
I thought I had a hall pass.
It's only mutual if they both come together and they both are like, we shouldn't be together.
The man went on Watch What Happens Live knowing he was broken up, claiming that they had Christmas plans together.
Because he
This
didn't
is
know
not
what
a
to say.
mutual breakup.
So who's the liar in this situation?
They both have.
It's
You're comparing someone who didn't want to be in a relationship,
You,
who
Leah.
decided
You're
to
the liar.
leave the relationship, who decided to go on her podcast and announce the breakup, and then compared to someone who was going through a broken fucking heart, decided to fulfill his Watch What Happens Live appearance shortly after his girlfriend broke up with him out of nowhere. And then because he didn't have a plan to talk about it publicly, you want to call him a liar and compare that to Paige?
It's also like, I love Paige. I love Craig. I loved them together. Clearly, they weren't going to work. But it's like,
I love Paige too, but let's be
breakup,
realistic
a
here.
breakup is never, it's always going to be messy.
Yeah,
like, no matter what, it's always going to be messy. Someone's going to feel hurt and someone's going to feel bad. So it's like,
when there's no like kids, marriage kind of thing in there where it's like you have a reason to mutually break up. Most likely in a relationship, there's one person who has one foot out the door and one person who has no idea.
Yeah. But I'm just saying, for the internet to be so one-sided about Rachel Kirkconnell and Matt James, and then to be like on the fence about Paige and Craig, and like some people taking Paige's side.
People break up.
People, it's like it's
people break up.
It's a relationship where they moved on, and no one really did anything that wrong, and like maybe didn't have the best approach to ending the relationship because there's no good approach.
People break
Anyway,
up.
I want to be clear.
think-
I'm not calling Craig a liar. Not calling Craig a liar. Just trying to add a little bit of devil's advocate here, where it's like we were not there when they broke up, and so we don't know all the intricacies and the details, and they could have different perceptions of how it went down, and still be both speaking their truths. And neither one of them could be lying. They could just have different perceptions of how it went down.
If Paige, in fact, said, because I didn't listen to the episode, it was a mutual breakup. I mean, listen, you're right. I wasn't there. I guess Craig could be lying through his teeth, but I'm going to go ahead and believe Craig on this one.
Misremembered.
I'm just saying if it was mutual, then I'm sure we would have gotten some lame black screen white text on both pages.
yeah.
Like there's not one person rushing out to put the statement out on a podcast and one person refusing to talk
If it's
about
mutual, then it's like, this is all right, we're done here. But like for it not to be mutual, it's like one of us has to heal a little bit before we like announce to the world. So let's like tread lightly for a few weeks.
Southern Charm also did pick up cameras we saw in the teaser, which is giving drama, caught off guard, blindsided.
100%.
So
Truly, they love a pickup camera, which we got a
So do
teaser
I.
that. No,
They're
not
just
too
like
much.
after like this week's scene with Paige and Craig, you know, he just wants a family. Paige gives the word family, gives her the egg. She wants nothing to do with it.
She's not ready.
And that's totally fine.
Totally
But like
fine.
these two, you know, that's where I am very much team Paige for like seeing what I think a lot of us have seen and what Craig is struggling to see. And he's just like, I love this person. It should be enough. And I hope for Craig that he like sees, you know, why Craig made the decision that, because you know, listen, I'm not here to tell Craig who he should be in a relationship with, and if I'm Craig, I don't want to hear me say things like, when you have a broken heart, you don't want to hear like reasonable people being like, I just don't know if you two were a fit. Like, you don't want to hear that. But I do hope for Craig that he sees what we see after he heals. And like, Paige was going to fight the life he wanted to live for maybe forever. I just don't think she wants what he wants. I don't think she wants it in South Carolina.
Should we get into our daily dilemma?
Let's do it. Are you fucking kidding me? I'm losing my mind.
Yeah.
The daily dilemma is a TikTok couple reveals a twist in their sleeping arrangements and why they no longer share a bed. The husband revealed he's been sleeping in their walk-in closet for a month and noted he dragged the guest bedroom mattress into the closet. He says, my wife's not a huge fan of this arrangement, obviously. He clarified that the arrangement is temporary and shared that it was something I had to do just to prioritize my mental health. I was not okay, he continued. I was really struggling and I was feeling awful, so that's why I'm here. He also opened up about his constant battle with ADHD and anxiety and noted that was part of the reason why he chose to sleep in the closet. His wife said, I'm a lonely girl. Say what you want, but I'm codependent and I hated being alone at night. She also added that it's been hard to go into the closet now since there's a queen-size mattress in there. He also explained that he saw his parents sleep separately growing up because they both had sleep problems and noted that it had nothing to do with the health of their marriage. How would you feel if I was like,
Hate, absolutely love.
Like, there's two things
Mental
that I have
health,
problems
and if you
with.
quoted mental health,
There's two things I have problems with. I don't help your mental health. Getting in at night and like cuddling, rubbing feet, touching in some sort of way with your partner doesn't like ease your mental health. You
the
have
best
to
part of my
go
day.
sleep in the cold closet surrounded by stinky, smelly shoes and the dirty laundry basket to like
That's your
feel at
oasis?
ease.
yeah.
That's crazy. Sierra, I know you're fucking different because you're crazy.
Yep.
Your team this guy?
I get it. Listen, if it's affecting your mental health, first of all. Second of all, that I'm like, depending upon, I don't know exactly why
Like
this person.
fainting at 17?
No, my thing is like,
That's
for example.
problem number one.
My thing, for example, is that I'm like, in the morning, I get up early, right? And I like all of my stuff, obviously, in the room. If Connor wants to sleep in, you go sleep in the other room because I'm getting ready. This is fucking with my mental health now because I'm tiptoeing around you trying to not wake daddy while I'm trying to get ready to go to work and you can sleep.
That's a morning routine problem.
Yeah. But I'm
That's
saying,
not a going to bed and snuggling with your partner all night long problem.
give me the full bed so I can starfish and sleep like a fucking queen.
Period.
And then I'll see you in the morning. Good morning, kiss. Bye.
No,
I mean, the fact that
guys do not love
the
love.
fact that he's able to get on his podcast and publicly say that, like, him and his wife be like, yeah, I have to sleep in the closet
Mental health,
because my
ick.
mental health is not good.
Mhm.
But my question is this kind of a
That's the
spectacle
biggest
because
issue.
I'm like, you drug the mattress from the guest room to
It
the
seems
closet.
a bit dramatic.
But I'm also like, why wouldn't you just sleep in the guest room? Or does he still want to be near her by the closet?
Yeah, that's what it's
What
giving.
happens
That's a good
when
point.
him sleeping in the closet and pulling the queen size mattress off the guest bedroom, making a mess, and fucking with their closet? What happens when that affects her mental health?
Oh my God, so true.
Exposure therapy.
Or the fact that he's not in bed with her affect her mental health.
I think it's
Danny's
like-
on tour right now and I'm a mess.
Can we just
Yeah.
have we gotten to the point where like you need to like can we just invoke mental health? Like when does your mental health become more important than my mental health? And what happens when
reverse Uno mental
It's
card.
like I
Reverse
need
Uno mental
a
card.
Valentine's Day basket for my mental health.
yeah, and I need to not give her one for mine.
Wow. I think it's like if you
Where
want
do we go from here?
if you want to sleep in separate beds, sleep in separate beds. No one really cares.
Yeah.
But like if one person isn't happy about it, maybe that's a private conversation you should have and you should not go on your podcast and talk about it.
I do think it's
You know?
also hard when you
Gotta get
have
those clicks.
I do
True.
think it's also hard when you have small children. Obviously, like the only time we really get to connect with each other is like when River's asleep and it's time for us to like go to bed and we get in the bed together and we get to like be by ourselves and watch a show and cuddle fuck and this and that, you know, and it's like they're not able to do that because he's
Having a-
snoring with the shoes.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Maybe clothes bring
This
him
man's a
comfort.
diva.
Also, in the Dick Van Dyke Show, Mary Tyler Moore and Dick Van Dyke slept in separate beds. And guess what? That was a couple that had sauce.
Also, my question, if she
Those
wants
are
to sleep
1940s.
in the closet
60s.
with
It
you,
was also illegal to
that
have them on beds
not
on
allowed?
television.
All right. Well, sleep with your partners, people.
or don't.
Or
Or
don't.
don't.
But don't sleep in the closet next to them
Yeah.
and claim mental health.
Do what you want.
Well, you know what's good for my mental health? Talking to recently eliminated faithfuls on the show Traitors. And up next, we have most recently deleted faithful himself, Derrick, to give us the inside tea of everything that went down in the castle.
In the recently deleted or the deleted?
Huh?
the
love
deleted.
The
deleted.
deleteds.
Up next, Derrick.
Growing an e-commerce business can be so chaotic, and if you're in charge of order fulfillment, you know that's a special kind of chaos. That's when you need ShipStation. Save hours and money every month by shipping from all of your stores with one login, automating repetitive tasks, and finding the best rates among all global carriers. ShipStation is the fastest, most affordable way to ship products to your customers with discounts up to 88% off UPS, DHL Express, and USPS rates, and up to 90% off FedEx rates.
ShipStation is an absolute must-have for any startup or growing business that ships most of their products online. It is an absolutely great way to save on shipping costs, which for most of you is one of the most expensive costs of running your business. Plus, get great customer service metrics to help get your customers the information they need when they're super excited to receive your product. Over 130,000 companies have grown their e-commerce business with ShipStation, and 98% of those companies that stick with ShipStation for a year become customers for life. Calm the chaos of order fulfillment with a shipping software that delivers. Switch to ShipStation today. Go to ShipStation.com and use code VIALFILES to sign up for your free trial. That's ShipStation.com, code VIALLFILES, ShipStation.com, code VIALFILES.
Y'all know I put a lot of thought and time into the food that I make for River. It's very important to me. So Thrive Market is the place I go to for all things food for my family. Trying to find healthier options for kids can be so hard these days between hidden sugars, artificial ingredients, and misleading labels. It makes it almost impossible to know what's actually good for kids, and that's why we love Thrive Market. Thrive Market is like having a personal guide to healthier living for your entire family. Thrive Market makes it simple to find trusted, family-friendly brands without spending hours in the grocery store. From snacks and school lunches to pantry staples, everything they offer is 100% non-GMO. The Healthy Swap scanner in the Thrive Market app is one feature we can't live without. Scan a product you're used to buying, and it instantly recommends cleaner, healthier alternatives.
Plus, Thrive Market Smart Cart features takes the guesswork out of healthy shopping. When you create an account, they ask you about your family's needs and automatically build a cart full of cleaner versions of your favorite brands. You can tweak it before checking out, but it's always a great way to get started, especially if you're trying to phase out junk food. It's absolutely a must-have. It makes our shopping experience a lot more fun and faster. And it's a great way of discovering some really great tasting, healthy alternatives to the junk that you probably are eating.
Ready for a junk-free start to 2025? Head to thrivemarket.com/VIALL and get 30% off your first order, plus a free $60 gift. That's THRIVE market.com/VIALL. Thrivemarket.com/VIALL.
Derrick! What's going on, buddy?
What's going on?
Not much, man. Sad to see you voted out of the castle, man, or killed, or
Coming to you from heaven.
No, that's what it looks like?
does it say? Is there a box that says homicide back there?
Yeah, so this is so we do a show twice a week. This is all actual stuff from when I was a detective, all my case files and
Okay.
stuff. Yeah.
Are you are you still a cop?
No, I own a private investigative firm here in
Okay.
Rhode Island, and so I've been a licensed PI since 2017. But now just a podcaster like everybody else in the space. I guess.
Well, thank you for the service you gave in your time of service. My brother's a cop too, so I just want to give a shout out
awesome.
to.
Awesome. Where's he at?
He's in Wisconsin.
Wisconsin. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny. Are we recording right now? Are we going?
We are. Yeah, we are.
So, little funny story, Nick. It's when I saw you on the list today, I was like a last minute yes for Traitors, and the logistics weren't going to work out at first, and then they did. So I was in Nashville, and I was getting ready to fly to Scotland, and your name was one of the names that was prominent as far as who was going to be on the show. And so I knew you from The Bachelor, but I didn't know a lot about you. But I was like, all right, let me start learning about these people I may be playing against. So I remember looking you up and finding out you're from Wisconsin, that you had recently gotten married. Your wife's name is Joy.
Natalie.
Your daughter's name, Natalie. Your daughter's name's River.
Yes.
I got that right at least?
Yes.
Okay. And I don't know if I can say it, but your daughter's birthday is a day before mine, which is why I remembered it. Can I say the date?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can. Yeah, everyone knows.
February 2nd.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my
Mine's February
God.
3rd. So that's why I remembered it.
My siblings
Yeah,
is February
I love
3rd. Yeah.
And so I was kind of developing a case file on you without you even knowing it, by the way.
Hell yeah.
And you developed it for this
And did you
episode.
think? Did you go in intimidated that I might be there, or you thought you were gonna
Yeah, and
absolutely gonna crush me?
No, in fairness, you do this all day. You talk to all different types of personalities. So I was like, this dude's going to be awesome at this game. And I wanted to work with certain people who had those types of traits that would be good in a game like this. So honestly, I could have
Aw.
used you. In there
Well,
because
yeah,
I went-
sorry.
I went for Dylan. It didn't work out that way. He was already in Rob's pocket.
Yeah, truly. He turned on you pretty quick.
Watching it back, Dylan really seems like he's doing very well. It really feels like this week was really interesting because he really, like you said, is in Rob's pocket. I wonder. Do you think there's any world in which Dylan has suspected that Rob has been a traitor the whole time, but instead of going for it, he decided to get on his good side? Or no, you think he's not quite at that level?
We're all cool now. So obviously we've had a chance to talk since the
Okay.
show.
All right.
He was never going to turn on Rob. I think after the Bob the Drag Queen vote, he was just completely enamored by that combination. And no, he did not know Rob was a traitor.
Okay.
You think about it, Dylan was playing an aggressive game like me. When he figured out Bob the Drag Queen was a traitor, he went after him even when no one else was. Because Rob helped get him over the edge, he just felt a loyalty towards him. And I do think he was truly disappointed when he found out Rob was a traitor, not because he had betrayed his trust, but because then he realized he was someone who was protecting him. So no, I love Dylan, but no, he was hot on Gabby's trails at that point. That's actually not a throwaway vote. There was a lot of conversations there where Dylan truly thought Gabby was a traitor, and he was trying to have another Bob the Drag Queen moment.
Ah, that makes sense because it was like, yeah, he's usually been on top of things, but the Gabby vote felt like kind of like out of pocket.
Nah, he was telling me like, I think Gabby's a traitor. I'm like, I don't know, man. I don't know.
I mean, I gotta assume you weren't shocked to find out that you got murdered when you did, just because you were on Rob's trail so well. When you went to bed that night, you're like, I'm probably gonna get killed, but like, this is my chance of not getting killed. What were you hoping that was gonna go down instead of you being murdered?
So when Brittany approaches me after the round table, I'm thinking she's also a traitor because she's protecting Rob. So my hope was that for some reason they're going to be stupid enough to keep me. And so what I wanted to do was get rid of one of Rob's votes, and that was Brittany. So by calling Brittany out publicly and telling Dylan that, my hope was that if I survived, Brittany wouldn't be able to defend Rob at the next roundtable because she would be defending herself. And so I was hoping I would be there to witness that. And it ultimately did work out, but just at my demise. But listen, I knew that Rob had two choices and both of them sucked. The first choice was to keep me in the game and go toe to toe with me again at the round table. I don't think that would have worked out well for him, but who knows? The second option was to leave me in the game and basically convince the rest of the cast or get rid of me and then convince the rest of the cast that, oh, hey, they're framing me. And I think that's the route he went with. I think he had more trust in the faithful getting it wrong than me not going after him again. Obviously it didn't work out, but if it did, he would have just grew that legendary status.
I mean, I thought there was no way he was going to get out of it, and he didn't. So there's that. But he did make a very convincing argument where I really thought people were going to maybe go the Brittany direction. Cause you're right. It was, he got ahead of it early. He tried to spin it early where he's immediately as people found out that you got killed, he started kind of shouting out, I'm being framed, I'm being framed. He had a plan and he was already executing that plan. And it sounds like this many weeks in, you're thinking, why would a traitor kill the most obvious person? And it's, Bob, if it's Bob, he wouldn't be smart. He would be smart enough not to kill the most obvious person. So he really was thinking multiple steps ahead. It was, but I mean, when Tom Sandoval has you pegged, you're cooked.
Yeah. That's the point. I do think, you know how these shows go. I think as soon as I didn't walk in, that was it for Rob. I think Lala could have gotten Rob out that night. Honestly, he was a dead man walking, and I think he might have even knew that. Rob's a methodical player. He's very analytical in what he does, but you did see a little bit where in that turret, he's like, I want my revenge. That's not Rob, but ultimately he wanted to get me out. I think he was a little surprised by me coming out like that. And I think he figured, hey, I may not get out of this alive, but neither are you. And I respect that. Two East Coast guys, I love the way we went out.
It was, certainly Rob, and both of you guys made your mark, and Rob, as much as we've talked about the past few weeks of him, being legendary Rob, he definitely kind of burned out pretty quickly, kind of to your point. It's his moves were good, but they weren't so good that there's a lot of people left and he's already gone. So and he had the protection.
Hey, I'm gone too, Nick.
Yeah, but you weren't a traitor though. You know what I'm saying? Wouldn't you agree that traitors have an advantage? There's a huge advantage if you're a traitor.
The best analogy to make, I've been saying it all day, is imagine playing chess against someone, and the object of the game is to put your pieces in place where by the time your opponent figures it out, it's too late. It's checkmate. Well, with traitors, I'm playing against the traitor. I'm making my moves, and the minute they figure out that I got the edge on them, all they have to do is hit the big red button and my game's over.
Right?
It's really difficult. Yeah, listen, Rob's a legend, Wes is a legend, and to be transparent with you guys, when I came in the cage, I almost felt like a case of imposter syndrome because this was my second show. So I'm like, why am I up here with these guys? I don't deserve it. They've been doing this since I was in high school. And, I was a little intimidated at first, but ultimately I found my ground and I think I held my own. And I thought I gave a pretty compelling argument. I basically said exactly what happened, including his friggin' origin story on how he became a traitor. And people were like, good story, bro. Still voting for Wes because he's mean.
Well, Wes definitely fucked you over with the whole I'm coming for you. If he hadn't said any of that, it would have been Rob that night.
To a group of women, it was just okay.
Yeah, no. As soon as he said it, there was an audible gasp in the round table, and you just saw as pale as I am, all color went out of my face because those are the variables I didn't anticipate. I didn't anticipate Wes reacting the way he did, but in fairness to him, I don't think he thought he was going to have to counter that argument of being aggressive. And secondly, Carolyn and Danielle were currently in a fight, which I was unaware of. So Carolyn voted for Danielle instead of Rob, which she did the next night. So those are the variables you can't control. I was one vote away from a tie. What could have been?
See, I think Wes beat himself, and I think, listen, you got killed by Rob. Rob had the advantages of a traitor. You could argue that Rob beat himself and Wes beat himself as well. I mean, I get it. Like, Wes has accomplished a lot. I never watched the challenge, but like, isn't part of game playing knowing your audience? Like, you came in starting this interview, like doing some research on me, thinking I was going to go on the show. Like, I don't think people from Housewives or, you know, Bachelor Nation or, you know, whatever franchise give a fuck about how many shows Wes won on the challenge, you know? And it seemed like Wes kind of like felt like that was something everyone needed to respect. Even Wes was like to the other people, like, I don't know who you are. They don't know who you are either, Wes. Like, there's a lot of people who, everyone's narcissistic on this show in their own world. Everyone kind of comes in thinking they're the man.
100%.
And I feel like Wes coming in with this, like, I've won more than everyone else is to his detriment, you know? Like, he should have gone a lot farther than he did. And I felt like you were the sacrificial lamb trying to play it smart, having Wes supposed to be an ally. He can't like keep his cool. He's like mouthing off to a bunch of ladies who don't give a fuck who he is, making threats. And then like you kind of got screwed trying to like hold your own and like playing it right. I don't know. How did you see it?
I'm a girl dad. I'm right there. I got 2 girls, 12 and 9. And I was like, don't take a rocket scientist to figure out this isn't going to go well for me right now. They can show it. But literally, as I was putting my vote up, you know, they cut a lot out. But I was like, well, Wes, you're going home tonight, and I'm probably getting murdered tomorrow, but it was fun. And then I put it in there because I knew the way he reacted and the way they responded to it. Logic was out the window. And I tried to bring it back home by being like, guys, I get it, but let's not be dumb and vote for the guy that we don't like over the person who is clearly the traitor. And they were just like, yeah, we're not having it. And in their defense, I think, well, Dylan, I didn't realize would never have voted for Rob. I didn't realize Brittany was as you know, positive on Rob as she was until that day. But overall, I think regardless, their thought process was, we don't like Wes. So either way, it's a win to get him out. And if he's not the traitor, we'll vote out Rob tomorrow.
How happy were you watching this episode back, knowing you didn't have to go through the bugs? Or were you like, that would have been fun?
I mean, listen, I was having so much fun out there. Nick, I'm sure you're going to get the call. Do it. It was the best show I've ever done. I've only done 2 shows, which is not saying a lot, but it was so much fun. That's the only regret I have is that I didn't get to play longer because production is great. The staff is great. The competitions were great. The place where we film is beautiful. So I was bummed watching it. I'm going to have FOMO for the rest of the season. I don't regret my move. If anything, I made the move too late. But I do regret the fact that I don't get to experience the things that they're getting to experience now. So it's bittersweet.
It looks like a lot of fun, and our boy Wells obviously was the first out, and he's bummed about that. And that is the challenge about that show, though. It's just like
it made no sense going for Wells, by the way. But I didn't have a vote that night.
It made no sense. Whether you're a former cop or you're Rob or you're Wes, the thing about what's fascinating about this show, what makes it so fun is, you can be a great game player, but there's still there's a lot of elements that like you can't control, and the unpredictability, you know, like the fact that people do go for their friends, you know, the people, you know, they go off of vibes and things like that. To kind of your point, like it only does you so good to be a former cop, and to disagree with me if you want, Derrick, like almost like Wes is a better, you know, Wes was playing like he was in a room full of people on the challenge. You know, and instead of adapting to being in a room full of some people in the challenge, some people like who are gamers, some people who are housewives, some people, you know, and you have to adapt to a game player like Rochelle who's going to like go off vibes, you know, and you have to anticipate shit like that. And Wes was just like, it wasn't registering with Wes. Like, and to me, that makes him less legendary than he says he is. Because he wasn't adapting to his environment.
Shots fired. Has Wes done the show yet?
No, he hasn't. He was too busy for another show, but I'll bring him back.
Oh, so that's where this is coming from. Now
that's my honest opinion, but like I would love to. I'll bring him on to defend himself. But I don't know. Do you see it? Do you see it differently? Do you see it differently?
I mean, listen. You know, the thing is, you don't have a lot of time during the day to talk to each other. You really don't. And I didn't. I saw Wes for what it was. He realized they were on a tight time window. We needed people to talk, and nobody was really giving anything. Like Sam and Ivor one night are saying, Rob, I think you're a traitor. I'm coming for you. And the next night they're voting for Wes. It's hard when you're playing with people who don't necessarily do these games all the time. But yeah, to your point, I think Wes didn't maybe read the room correctly in that moment. He said to me that he made a joke that just didn't land. That was a joke. That was his humor. But like you had said, they don't know him. But I will say this, his thought process is, I'm there to make a good TV show. That's why I keep getting cast on these shows. And in his defense,
Well,
between him and Rob, to go back to my point earlier, they've been on like 20, 30 shows together. I've been on 2, and I won my first show. So, I guess it depends on what your goals are. If you're trying to get cast on the next show, probably the right move in the character that he's playing. But if you're trying to win this particular game, maybe not the right decision.
You talked about having 2 girls. Are they watching Traitors, or do they think you're so uncool?
You love it.
they
They
love
love
they
it.
love it.
My oldest daughter's 12, so I'm just starting not to be cool with her,
Mm.
but they love Dylan Efron,
Of
obviously.
course.
So I had a big premiere party. I let her invite all her friends. I was suddenly cool again. And the only troubling part was my daughter, who was like this sweet, innocent little Tenley, like never really gave me any indication she likes boys. And she's like, Dad, can you do me a favor? The girls were wondering if you could FaceTime Dylan real quick. And I was like, sure, no problem. I FaceTimed them, and no joke, it was like rabid dogs for a piece of meat, including my daughter. And I'm like, Tenley, I like almost had to kick her away from the phone. I'm like, all right, Dylan, I
12?
hate you. Bye, I gotta go. But yeah, no, I'm suddenly cool again for at least the next 6 months.
That's great, man.
Hell yeah.
Scary, but great.
Nick, get ready for it, man. It was the most disturbing thing I've ever seen in my life. The way she acted in that moment, I was like, oh my God, she's never leaving the house again.
That's crazy. Speaking of Dylan, how do you think he navigates out of this kind of loyalty to Rob now that Rob is out, he's been revealed as a traitor, he's kind of positioned himself as like an ally of Rob. He's not the only one, but how do you think he navigates out of that?
This is the best thing that could have happened for him. His biggest downfall was his blind spot to Rob, kind of similar with me with Danielle. And him not having Rob in the game no more is going to open up paths for him, because initially when I gave him the shield, I had a lot of hope for his potential. And he was so skewed by Rob that he started to lose his sight of what he should be focusing on. And that intuition kind of escaped him a little bit. And my hope going forward is now he reels it back in, realizes he's there for himself. People view him as a faithful. And so hopefully he can ride that wave and get back on track, because although we're only halfway, a little bit more than halfway through, there's not a lot of game to play left. So you got 3-4 episodes. So now's the time. You got to start getting those traitors out, or they're going to win.
With Danielle's been really confusing, I think, for viewers to watch, because it seems like she's not a very good traitor. Did you suspect Danielle at all during your time in the castle? And what was your reaction to seeing her in tears to your departure?
Yeah, me and Danielle have been close for 10 years, and I always wanted to play a show with her. She's the best Big Brother player to not win. And so we had a personal relationship. We had a lot of, and Nick knows this, we had a lot of conversations off camera that are much more personally connected and not about the game that you remember when you're playing. And so she got me in the blind spot there. And I will say this in Danielle's defense. There's a reason nobody's saying her name at the round table. Yes, we were suspicious of her, especially me and Brittany after the riddle competition.
Right.
But I got distracted by Brittany's behavior in defense of Rob because I was certain about Rob, and that threw me off Danielle's trail. But she's playing a pretty good game. She hasn't been mentioned yet. Yes, she's emotional, but she's been consistent in that emotional display that she put on. She's constantly crying over everything. So to the point, we were all kind of perceiving it as she just this game is too much for her. She's paranoid.
Right.
But overall, she's still there. She got rid of Rob. I think it was a great move, giving me up for Rob to lower his guard to then just vote for him again.
Right.
I mean, it's a good move. So I know she's getting a tough edit and people are like, it's so obvious she's a traitor, but you guys have the privilege of knowing who the traitor is.
Yeah.
So
it makes, like you said, it makes no difference to me, like as a viewer, like how obvious we think it is, because, well, and maybe I know this because I know things are edited, but to your point, like no one in the house is suspecting her. So if anyone should be criticizing anyone, it should be the other people in the house, not the traitor who clearly in the moment is like giving faithful to everyone. Like she's playing the best game, because like no one's bringing her up. No one. You still have Tom Sandoval and Dolores going at each other.
Yeah, and you had Jeremy who was on to her, and he was one that I'm very close with. He's my favorite Survivor player. So him saying it stuck in my head as well. When he said it and then got murdered, I was like, that's not good. But I would have, to be transparent, now that I'm out, like I don't think I ever would have went after her. And even at the end, I don't know if I would have had the balls to cut her, because let's be honest. You guys know this. It's about the journey, not the destination with Traitors. Like nobody's like, who's gonna win the 250,000? It's more about like, how are they gonna get there? What's gonna happen in the meantime? So I don't know what I would have done, but I will say one of my biggest weaknesses in that game was my friendship with Danielle for sure. But I love her. I have no ill will toward her or anybody else for that matter.
All-Star Traitors, you would go back for another run if you were offered, I'm assuming?
Yeah, I mean, it was a great experience. I would go back. Here's the thing, and you might even have more insight on this. And I'd actually like your opinion on it because I feel like this show is blowing up so much that it's kind of becoming like the next Dancing with the Stars. And the pool of people that they're going to be able to pull from is going to be so vast. I think the nobodies like me, the fact that I got one shot in there is like, I better just be happy with that. I feel like it's getting big now.
I think you're selling yourself a lot short, Derrick. I think yes, it's gotten more successful. I think, you know, from season 1 to season 3, yeah, I think it's a little easier for casting than it was maybe the first 2 seasons where they probably got a lot of no's and, you know, people weren't sure what it was. But like every season, the gamers have very much carried this show. I think of like the housewives or, you know, Bachelor people, like, you know, Dylan, they pick up on it as they get along. But like, I think the strategy is what a lot of people are enjoying about this show. And I think to make it work, you almost need the gamers, the Big Brother people, the survivors, the challenge people, because I think they almost in a way train the Dylans of the world about how to play the game. And I think that's always important.
Not fast enough.
I think there's an element there. And I think the reality TV space is always going to dominate Traitors. I think, you know, even Dylan is kind of technically reality TV because he did the show with his brother. But I don't think they're going to start pulling in like working actors and musicians and things like that. I think this works for Traitors. It's obviously Bravo's has a strong, it's cross promotional. So I think they're going to stay in this lane. And I still think they're going to be pulling from gamers, even if it's like, you know, for the people who don't watch Big Brother or don't watch Survivor, you know, you're learning a lot about these people. But I think they're too important to this show's like the gears turning. I don't know. I think if you just had a bunch of housewives and a bunch of like Vanderpump people and a couple Bachelor people and they're like played Traitors, you know,
it'd be harder to get going.
Yeah, it wouldn't be as like I'll tell you why, Derrick, because like for example, the Bachelor people, a lot of them are coming off going on the Bachelor show, and like there's a lot of brainwashing that goes on where it's just like, are you fucking here for the right reasons? Like you better be here for the right reasons. You better not like. In Bachelor world, to like quote unquote like steal someone is like the worst thing you can do. So I think there's a lot of like trauma, honestly, from like people who like have only done the Bachelor franchise. So the idea of being a traitor or a villain or killing someone or lying to your friend, they're like so uncomfortable with that like being recorded and being used for TV because they're so used to being like that weapon, honestly, like weaponized against them, that you truly would need gamers like yourself being like, guys, it's a fucking game. You can chill out. We're here to play and have them relax, because honestly, you would get a lot of reality TV stars who are too afraid to do shit.
You ain't wrong. And that was part of the concept in there where you have to quickly figure out people's motives for being there.
Yeah. As
you alluded to, and without saying names, there are people that their metric for success on Traitors is how long can I last?
Yeah.
Like how much airtime can I get? How long can I go in the show? Where people like, you know, Rob and myself, and we're playing the game. If I go home, I go home, but I'm playing, you brought me here to catch a killer. That's what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
And if I go home early, that's fine. But yeah, you're right. We're putting more of a strategic element to the game. And I could see there were certain people that didn't give a shit who went home as long as it wasn't them. And that can be, if it's all people like that and everyone's doing throwaway votes, it could actually hurt the show. So you make a valid point.
Yeah. Yeah, it'd be and people just like they want to stay there. They also want to be likable. They want to be, they want to be the popular one. They're like, there's a lot of motives in that round table, so to speak, that aren't like making the show as good as it possibly can. And I think the gamers will always be welcomed at the table for that reason.
Hey, listen, I'm not mad about it. From your lips to God's ears. I hope I get the chance to play again. It was a great experience. It was my first time playing a show in 10 years. You've done the reality TV thing. It's not always a positive experience, but the behind the scenes, the mental health aspect of it, I was fucked up after Big Brother. I was in there almost 100 days, and I was an undercover detective for 4 years, and that was harder. And so having people behind the scenes calling you every week, even as the show's airing, to be like, hey, How you doing? What'd you think? Are you cool? Is anything you need to talk about? They have doctors on staff. I was like, wow, this is definitely different than past experiences. And for those reasons, I would do it again.
That's awesome, Derrick, man. Sounds like you had a great time. Really fun to hear your POV about the experience. Anything else you want to share before we let you go?
No, man, I'm just enjoyed it. Thanks for having me on. And if I ever get to see you in there, don't be a traitor. Don't kill me.
All right. Well, if I ever go on, I'll be reaching out to you for some advice. I appreciate it, buddy.
Love that. Love that. Thanks for having me, guys.
All right,
Thank
take
you,
care,
Derrick.
guys. Well, it's officially too cold to do anything, but the upside is it's officially cozy season, and the best way to keep cozy is in Bombas socks, slippers, and underwear all winter long. The secret of Bombas is their fabric. Their merino wool has the cozy feel of a ski lodge, and it's perfect for lounging around the house. But if you do want to brave the cold on the slopes, they have athletic socks that perfectly blend comfort and function.
Our personal favorites are the slippers. If you hate having cold feet, then you'll love the warm, fluffy Sherpa lining and the marshmallow-like cushioning of these amazing slippers. Bombas knows that the little things really do make a big difference, so they removed all the itchy tags, fixed the annoying toe seam, and perfected the fit of everything. No more socks that slip down or underwear that rides up. One of our favorite things about Bombas is no matter what you get, every Bombas item gives back. For every item you purchase, Bombas will donate another item to someone facing homelessness. They've donated 150 million items thanks to purchases like yours. Bombas makes returns and exchanges so easy. If somehow you're not happy with what you get, don't worry because they have a 100% happiness guarantee that covers free exchanges and returns too.
So try Bombas now. Head over to bombas.com/VIALL and use code VIALL for 20% off your first purchase. That's Bombas, BOMBAS.com/VIALL. Once again, that code is VIALL at checkout, bombas.com/VIALL. Derrick's a nice guy.
He's so nice.
So sweet. That's so cool that he does his research on people to try to just get to know them before he goes on.
That's smart.
No, I know. But it was sweet that he remembered all that.
That's like a gamer versus just a reality star because it's giving Jax when he went on House of Villains and his reps were like, to win the game, you should do your research on who else is going in. And he did 0. And then was like, I had no idea that they would behave this way. And it's like, well, if you would have just watched the clip.
What is the premise of House of Villains?
It's just all of the worst people from reality TV living under a house and doing.
I mean, I know Jax is a horrible human being, but are they all horrible people?
Just the worst characters. Like
the villains
I Love
of
New
each.
York.
Yeah, some of the villains are iconic.
For sure. I mean,
Yeah.
Candy Muse. But I'm like, even then, the whole point is that they had the worst at it or they were the worst person on their season of their show.
Candy Muse just got it bad at it.
And they what? And then they do what?
They compete, then they vote each other out. And then it's like somebody wins House of Villain.
I haven't had heebie-jeebies that bad in a long time. I mean, watching all of those bugs.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I still feel one in my ear.
But the
It's
question is, how far would you make it? Are you
I think I could have done
Sierra?
Well, I don't know. Chrishell, honestly, I related to that, but I feel like I could have, if I had someone who was really gripping my hand,
Yeah.
I feel like I could have gotten past the scorpions. But then once those bugs dropped on my fucking head,
No.
Tom's hat, the way they just all went on
thank
Tom's hat.
God Sierra had a veil because they were all on that veil instead of crawling on her neck. But how far would you have gone? You had heebie-jeebies.
It would have been tough.
Would you have kept your eyes closed when they were putting the millipede and the scorpions on your hands?
Let me just say that I thought Dylan looked really hot,
Oh.
being as calm as
Say
he was.
more.
Yeah,
I
him being
I
like,
was
"Oh, I
really
love it."
jealous of I wish I could say that I would have been Dylan in this moment, just kind of being like, this is fun. And
Sam
I'm
was too.
Unbothered. Sam was pretty
Sam's
manly.
hair.
He was like, I love this.
Rob was pretty manly.
Rob talking Sierra through it.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah,
pretty
that was
great.
hot.
I would have
That
been
was hot.
I would have been somewhere between Tom Sandoval and Dylan.
Tom Sandoval was cracking me up every time he's like, yeah, okay, yeah, oh, sure.
You
Why
guys,
not?
you guys, I have to be honest. Sandoval kind of won me over this episode.
He was
I'm
very-
telling you guys, he's a flawed
No.
man, but he is not horrible. He is not
He is
without.
there. He is there to
not
be
wi-
a court jester.
Yeah, he is not without a charming character. He's not. He's
His reactions were perfect, I will say.
I'm
It
thinking
worked.
that he was the one who got Rob out.
He
second.
did.
He
and
did.
Dylan was
did.
like, I trust Tom Sandoval. You could tell. And Dylan, when he paired up with him, he was like, he kind of shrugged. It was like, hate me, America. I don't know what to tell you.
And then
I
Tom
trust
was
the guy.
like, someone likes
And
me.
but you know why? Because I guarantee you, Dylan looks at Tom Sam and go, I know exactly who you are. I know exactly what I'm working with. I know what not to ask you. I know what to ask you. And now I know. Now I
Yeah.
trust you. And that's all Tom Sandoval is.
He felt so good after he got Rob out, and everyone was like, "Good job, Tom."
He was like, I finally have respect. When he walked the trailer for the next episode, when he walks up to it's like they're gonna kill someone face to face.
Yeah.
When he walked, he was like, you know what? I finally got the respect I wanted. If I go, I go.
I
And
die happy.
I was like, you know what, Tom? I'm happy for you.
No one takes him seriously.
He's the perfect court jester.
I know.
Yeah.
He's there to be laughed at.
Everyone
and he's doing
deserves
a really
empathy,
good job.
even Tom Sandoval.
Yeah, even the ending, we have Dolores from Patterson, which is like her alter ego, and she turns like super like cold and like monotone, where she was saying like, "You better kill me. I'm gonna come for you." I was like, "Ooh."
All I said was that is a housewife from Jersey right
Yeah.
Don't kill her.
It's heating up.
It's good. I think it would be harder for me to do the bug and snake things than some of the stuff on Special Forces.
Really?
Yeah.
Listen, like, there's a reason Fear Factor got canceled. It's like you can only take so much of that stuff, you know. And it's.
I have a confession. I've done the bug challenge before.
What does that mean?
I paid for like a haunted house where like it was VIP and they like dump a ton of bugs and like you
paid
have
for
to.
that?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
It's a VIP experience, but if you close your eyes, you can win it.
He's like, it's a
Just,
business expense.
No, that's the thing. If I had to do,
That's a tax write-off.
if I had to mentally be like, all right, I gotta fucking do this. Like, I hate snakes. I'm a big believer that like sometimes we hang on to our phobias
Mhm.
because it's something we identify with. It's like if you need to get over a phobia, you can. You truly can.
I
But
cannot
like,
get over trypophobia.
yeah, sure, whatever. You don't need to.
I'm with you on that.
Which
Thank you.
one's trypophobia?
Holes.
Clusters
Those
of
tiny
holes.
clusters of holes.
Listen, you can get over anything you really need to, and most
Exposure
of
therapy.
the stuff you don't need to. Anyways, I would have been able to like muscle it up, but I wouldn't have been calm. I would have maybe had to like close my eyes, and I might have squirmed.
Oh yeah, I feel him.
I got to give Sierra a lot of credit. I was like, the fact that she did not open her eyes or did not pull away, where I'm like, the second the weight, where I'm not afraid of snakes, but I'm like, if you're afraid of all of those things to top it off with
Yeah.
a snake on, like the weight of a snake over your shoulders.
It hurt me like, what is it?
Yeah.
What is it?
I was like, girl, if you don't know, you're lucky.
I honestly think I would have handled that challenge really well.
Non-relatable.
Well, speaking of traitors, and speaking of Sam, who he's starting to talk a little bit more. And
He's got a funny personality.
He's got a funny personality. He's giving very manly. He's also our guest this week on Going Deeper. This was an amazing interview. If you guys are fascinated with anything Britney Spears and their relationship, this is a must-listen episode you do not want to miss. I didn't even know what to expect with Sam.
Truly.
You know, we got in contact. He hit me up. I was like, I absolutely would love to have you on the show. I said to him, everyone knows who you are and no one knows who you are. It's like we all know him as the ex-husband of Britney Spears, one of the biggest and greatest pop stars of ever or of our generation. But we know like nothing of the man. He's relatively quiet on Traitors. Well, we got to sit down with Sam and spend a lot of time with him. And he gets into, his whole backstory and coming to America and meeting Britney and a lot about their relationship. So you got to listen to it. It was wild. I see him in a totally different light after talking with him than certainly before Traitors and even on Traitors where we haven't really gotten to know him. So it's an absolute must listen Going Deeper tomorrow on the Viall Files. Be sure to check that out. All right. Bachelor time. Recently departed Alli Jo will be joining us momentarily. This season's really, like, it's good.
It's good.
This season is good.
Mhm.
I'm hooked.
I'm still holding on to my Latia and Juliana are still definitely.
Are you
fine too.
guys, by the way, for anyone who I'm sure there were plenty of people who disagree with me, still absolutely 100% team Zoe.
Mm-mm.
Look, not my cup of
No,
tea.
not yeah, not
Doesn't
I
have
stand
to
by
be,
that.
She doesn't have
Love
to be
her.
your cup of
She's
tea.
pretty.
What is Zoe's job? What is her job?
Mechanical engineer.
Mechanical engineer and model. But I want to focus on the mechanical engineer. Listen, anyone can do anything, but it's a unique profession for a lady to be a mechanical engineer. That maybe she might be different than say like a house full of other women.
Tech engineer.
She might have, her personality might read a little differently.
She's
she
a
might,
tech engineer.
Tech engineer. I don't know. Engineer. You know, when like go to any engineering program and it's like 10% women. I'm just saying she might have a slightly different personality than a group full of girly girls. And whatever you agree with Zoe or not, like I'm not saying you agree with how she's handling it. I'm not saying you would show up and be like, that's who I want to be friends with. Clearly, she is slightly different. But to sit there and tell me that she deserved, if you go back and watch it, after Zoe, said whatever she said to Grant, and then Grant, kind of give that cryptic, be nice to each other, the rumors. There's a scene where 7 or 8 women walk up to Zoe and form a line with their arms crossed. Go back and watch. These women are all walking up with their arms crossed. They don't know, like they've all been there for like 4 days. And Zoe shows up, she pulls Grant, she spends some time with him. These women are ganging up on her. Whether you agree with her or not, they just don't think she's going about it the right way that because they took notes as 15-year-old girls watching The Bachelor. And now they're deciding how the house is supposed to operate. And because Zoe does what Zoe wants to do, they all walk up in a gang of 8 and make her cry. And you're gonna side with the gang?
I'm sorry, if you didn't come here to make friends, she did exactly that. She made no friends.
Okay.
The dress comment was crazy.
The dress comment was crazy.
That was crazy.
Yeah, they tell her
it's the shortest dress I've ever seen, Sarah.
Dress is too short.
Not the shortest dress I've ever seen.
And you think Zoe was it Zoe made that comment?
Actually incorrect.
Serafina did.
About
To Zoe.
Well, she didn't say it to Zoe. She said it about Zoe to someone else. But
these are
Zoe
mean
already
girls.
heard it. Yeah.
Okay, but the
That's
whole
bullying.
the gang of 8 people didn't get to talk to Grant
Who gives a
because
fuck?
Zoe
And you know why they didn't get to talk to Grant?
because Zoe was
they
there
didn't-
every
no,
4 times.
No, because they are sitting. I know this because I've been in that world. They are sitting, waiting their turn. They are more concerned talking to Derrick on Traitors. Derrick pointed out he showed up. I'm going back to Traitors. Keep up.
No, I'm on a roller coaster.
Whoa. Sorry, let's go
Like a
inside
slingshot.
Nick's brain for
Okay.
10
But
seconds.
as Derrick was saying, like he observed some people were there to like play the game
Mm-hmm.
and like make moves, and some people were there to go far, and some people were there to like make sure they had a good edit, and some make sure they were there to like be popular, and that's how all these women are in the house. They are sitting on a chair and a sofa, waiting their turn, hoping Grant comes to see them or someone gets picked so they don't ruffle anyone's feathers because they're more concerned with their edit and popularity and followers than they are like getting a connection with Grant. And Zoe is only focused on her connection with Grant, and these girls are mocking her dress, and when she does something they don't like, they gang up on her. In an environment where they have no support system whatsoever. There's no one to call, there's no friend, there's no lifeline. There's just, are you in the group or are you out of the group? And if you're out of the group, fuck you, you're fucked.
Well, Alli Jo was a part of that group that
Yeah,
so you can bring that same energy with Alli Jo and ask her what the fuck.
Yeah.
Or you're fake.
I'm just
Say it with
listen,
your chest.
I get where she's coming from. I mean, they're all on a show, but I'm saying for anyone watching, and it's every season, all the Bachelor Nation is like they pick the one person who doesn't play by everyone's rules, and they want to pick on that one person when the bully is always
But
the house.
It was kind of laughable, just the like difference in group dates of how last week she was like, I don't give a fuck. I'm stealing him from you. I don't care. I want to talk to him. That's what this whole thing is about. And like, I'm going to sit here silent. And then the next week being like, I didn't get enough time with him.
It's like, go. Your
It's like,
actions
now
have
you know how
consequences.
I
it's like
don't-
now you know how we feel from last week.
Yeah.
I know there's editing. I don't like her tattling. I'll give you that. I do not like her
The
tattling.
tattling, and you don't get to be like
didn't
Miss,
say
like, I'm
names.
all on my own.
Yeah.
I came here just for The Bachelor.
Mhm.
I didn't come here for friends, and then be surprised that the girls don't rally around you.
Yeah.
There's a difference between not rallying around them and confronting her with. There's a complete difference than
Nobody confronted her. She overheard somebody say
rallying,
something.
Rallying behind her is expecting the ladies to cheer her on as she goes and steals Grant from someone else. That's rallying behind. She's not asking that. What is happening is like the other women are waiting their turn. Some of them are not getting the turns. Zoe's getting a turn, and they're collecting all the women to like confront Zoe, literally pin her in a corner while their arms are all crossed until she cries, while mocking her dress.
I just
And
don't
that's
think
your
it-
team bully?
Yep, guess so.
She
100%. I was
fired-
like, have
yeah.
another martini and cry about something instead of having a conversation face to face with the girls or confront them. But it's like, you don't get to play victim after you played badass last week. You just don't.
I do wish in that moment
I
she
agree
would
with
have
you.
said when Juliana was like, let's just cut to the chase. Like, Zoe, like, what did you tell him? What was her answer to that?
I can talk to him about whatever I want to.
I wish she would have been like, yeah, I told him that, like, Serafina, you fucking called my dress short and that hurt my feelings. And if this is going to be my husband, I would like to confide in my husband about, like, people who hurt my feelings. And so, yeah. Serafina, I did tell him that you said
It's,
that. What the fuck?
It's a lot easier to say what you're thinking and what you want when you have an army of friends on your back as opposed to when you're by yourself on an
No,
island.
that's when I thrive.
She had Chloe.
Yeah.
Sure.
So true.
She had
So
Chloe.
true.
And
Chloe
she
was
has
there.
friends.
Yeah.
I need you all to be in that world. Like,
Let's ask Alli Jo.
let's ask-
I'm gonna bring her in. I want to see this energy, Nick.
Alli Jo.
Alli Jo.
Hello.
Hello. How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
We're so
Your
good.
heart is healed from your bachelor exile?
I would say so for
Okay.
now.
For now.
Well, before we get started, the household wants me to let you know I am staunchly Team Zoe. I don't know if you're going to be okay.
Listen, should I get the boxing gloves out? They're leopard.
Are you going to get the
Yes.
rest of your gang?
I'm on it.
Maybe. I roll deep. I roll
Yeah.
deep.
Tell us about your experience, Alli.
Experience was great. It was wild. It was interesting. It was fun. I feel like there's not one word you can use to explain the experience there. It was a great time, honestly.
Were you surprised to kind of get an early exit, or were, just kind of not make? I mean, I'm guessing maybe you just didn't get a chance to make much of a connection with Grant.
Yeah, I feel like every time I would speak with him, it was cut short. So the last conversation I had with him before the rose ceremony, I remember going into one of the interview rooms and being like, I'm not really feeling too confident today. And I'll always own that. If I'm feeling confident, I feel that way. And if I don't, I don't. And in that moment, I really didn't. So I kind of had a feeling after I had spoken to him that night.
Wait, and was it always Zoe who was cutting you off, or were there other people who kind of cut you off?
There were other people.
Okay.
But not, consecutive times in a row.
Are you still having beef with Zoe, or have you guys reconciled?
No, there's no beef at all. Listen, I'm a very onward and upward person. It wasn't shown, and I know she had spoken on other podcasts, but I did apologize to her the next day. We confided in each other a little bit that night at that cocktail party. I had my red wine. I gave her a little cheers. We were in the pool together the next day. So none of that was shown, but I'll own when I need to do something. And I did apologize to her. So there's no beef.
Oh, you did?
Like I said, onward and upward.
Great.
Yes,
What did you apologize for?
For the way I came across and the way I spoke to her. I wouldn't say it was the best way to present something, but I was in the heat of the moment and I'm not a perfect person.
Totally.
But I own it and I apologize,
So maybe you can help clear up a debate we were having before you showed up. You've been obviously in this world. It's been a while, so I know what it's like to be in your shoes. But I'm usually of the opinion, and while everyone there is well intentioned and it's all very confusing for everyone who's there. I mean, in the first couple of weeks, you guys are like, what the fuck's going on? But I'm of the opinion that even though the edit usually doesn't show this, that in real time, that the house is usually the bully. I'm not calling any of you ladies bullies. I'm just saying when you're in this house and you're part of the majority opinion and you're the one person doing your own thing, even if your own thing is harmless as trying to get some time, it can be very intimidating when a group of men or a group of women walk up to you with your arms crossed and kind of like, what the fuck are you doing? And that's why I'm Team Zoe in that. Do you see what I'm saying, or do you feel like there's a different side?
No, of course. I always like to see two sides of a story. And I even said that when I was speaking with her, you have your side, I have my side, and there's the truth somewhere in the middle. But nobody ever stood there with their arms crossed. She was always invited to do things and join us. And that's what was failed to be said by her. And the edit, it's like she was included. She just chose not to include herself sometimes. But it also was shown we were all eating dinner together. Her and Parisa did a little hibachi night. We were all around the table. So she was included. So that's where sometimes if you want to put yourself in that box that you feel like you weren't included, that's how she felt. But being on the other side, she was included. And you can't really say that your teammates weren't supporting you when you quite clearly just said you weren't there to make friends and you were not just treating me a certain way, it was everybody. So you have to if you're going to say something, you have to at least back it up. And there's proof in the pudding, and it was shown on television. Not everything, like I said, she has her side, I have my side. There was the truth somewhere in the middle, onward and upward, but nobody ever stood there with their arms crossed. I only do that when I'm taking Rumble boxing photo shoots.
Well, I don't know. I don't know if it was you, and maybe you'll see it when you watch the episodes. But when you guys confronted Zoe, there was many of.
It was after when Serafina said her dress was short, and she went and she told Grant about it, and then Grant was like, "The rumors, y'all need to be nice to each other." And it was Zoe, what did you say to him? And then y'all kind of
ganged up on her a little bit. It's kind of how it looked.
Yeah. So, I mean, I haven't seen that episode, but I remember it in real time. I kind of just sat there and was like, yo, girl, me and you, we squashed it. And she was like, no, I said Alli, it wasn't Alli Jo. Her and I looked at each other in the eyes and said that. So I was not involved in any of
Alli
that.
Jo's hands are clean.
Alli Jo's hands, to be clear for everyone, we're not crossed. She's
Arms were not crossed. Hands are clean.
They were not crossed. Exactly.
I mean, were you aware of this like Rose and Carolina issue where Grant told her he was thinking of Rose during the dance with Carolina? Did you hear that?
So when I was talking to Grant that final night, the night that I got eliminated, there was like all these things happening. And I remember me and Juliana were like, what's happening? What's happening? Like we were drinking drinks at the bar. We're like, what is going on? And I was like, I'm just trying to talk to Grant. I was hanging out with the Golden Bachelorette man. I talked to Jack more that night more than I spoke to Grant. We were flipping burgers. So I didn't really know what was going on. But then I kept like seeing all the girls walk back and forth. And I was like, what's happening? There's something happening. So I knew something was brewing. And then I knew Chloe had cried and her and I were talking. And I was like, and she was a little upset that he kind of spent time talking with her. And while he was upset talking about other women. And I said to her, I was like, listen, maybe that's a good thing. He's confiding in you. That's a good sign. So I was trying to make it a positive. But yeah, I wasn't aware of the entire situation, but there were some rumblings happening.
Right.
Who do you trust more, Carolina or Rose?
I didn't have we were friends in the house. I spoke to Rose a lot more than I spoke to Carolina, but I could not pick a side of who I would trust more because I wasn't there. I like proof and I like to see things in my own eyes, and I wasn't there. So I don't know.
Gun to your head, you know,
Oh
you got to pick a side.
Messy, messy, messy.
Oh, I don't know. I guess I have to see how it comes about on television.
The comment that Serafina made about Zoe's dress, can you kind of tell us how that whole situation went down? Like, was it overheard by Zoe? Was it said to, was a bunch of women talking about it that it got back to her?
So to be honest, I don't remember her saying that. And then when it came up in the previews, I was watching it with my mom, like the first episode, she was like, Alli Jo, did you say that? And I was like, no, I didn't say that. I have no idea who did. And then when they ran it back and it was showing Serafina, I was like, I truly don't remember her saying it that night. Like, I don't know if I wasn't present. I was hanging out with Dina a lot that night. I really don't remember her saying that. I wasn't around.
Okay.
I honestly think it would be crazy for Grant not to think of also Rose while making out with Carolina.
Rose was also really sick too.
What happened to?
Oh, who was that? Beverly.
Oh yeah, Beverly went home.
Oh yeah, she went home. Yeah, she got pretty sick. Like none of us know where she went. She was supposed to have a one-on-one date, and then we all did our group finance date, which I did horribly at. Then we came back and we were all like, where's Beverly? Where's Beverly? Where's Beverly? And like we didn't know. And then she ended up getting really sick and she had to unfortunately leave, which we all felt really bad for. And she's a great girl. So.
Have you heard from her since? Is she okay?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, she's okay. She's okay. Yes.
Okay.
Thank goodness.
Well, Alli, thank you so much for giving us a little bit of the tea. We really appreciate you jumping on and giving us a little of the 411. And now that they're bringing Paradise back, are you hoping to get an invitation to the beach?
Listen, I moved to Fort Lauderdale and I have a lot of bikinis now, so I would maybe go. We'll see where I'm at in that point of my life.
No shopping needed for Alli Jo. She is booked and ready to go.
I'm ready. I was laying in the palm trees yesterday in the sun.
Are you currently single and available as of today?
I am currently single and available as of today.
Okay. All right. Well, you got to
Maybe
put it
we'll
out
see
there,
you,
you know, that some people in casting, watch the show. So it's really important.
You never know.
Why
I do have to correct you though, Nick.
Oh, please.
You said something about cup of tea, but I'm a cup of Joe. So we got to just change that a little bit next
Thank you
time.
so much, Alli Jo. I appreciate it.
Cup of Joe.
I stand corrected. Thank you so much for your time, Alli Jo. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Good luck the rest of the way. We hope we see you on the beach, and we'll see. It all comes down to women tell all. You
Yes, it does.
got to find that sweet spot between like being like someone who left early and not talking too much, but talking enough. Where they want you on. So
Absolutely.
all right. Well, we'll see you then.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Appreciate you. All
Thank
right.
you.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Yeah, I think it would be psychotic if you really break it down. If Grant, I don't know what he's supposed to say because it's like a tough position to be in, but imagine if he was only thinking of Carolina when he was making out with Carolina and not the other 5 women or how many women
That
there
would be
were.
weird. It would be like you,
Psychotic.
like we're all fucking here. You're not thinking of like, hey, maybe we should wrap this up a little bit. There's 5 other women watching
Yeah.
us. Like
If
this
he
is
was
a little,
like-
getting a little awkward,
If he
getting a
was
little
like,
much.
yeah, honestly, don't even know that they're there. That would be insane.
That would be even worse. That is true. But I do think it was,
That's how insane this world is.
I do think it was insane for Rose to then like tell Carolina this whole like, he said he was thinking of me while dancing with you. And then to straight up tell Grant when Grant's like, I never said that. She's like, I could have sworn you did. He's like, well, I didn't. She's like, I must have misheard you.
That
He's like,
convo was
that's
so
a
uncomfy.
crazy thing to mishear.
That was weird.
So what do we think the truth is?
I think that the truth is that he was feeling bad for the other women, that he was doing such a public display of affection with Carolina. And so he was thinking about it. And I think when him and Rose talked about it and we didn't see this conversation, she probably mentioned like, that was uncomfortable. I felt weird watching it. And he probably said, don't worry, I was thinking of you guys. Like I also felt like it was and then she must have said that to Carolina.
So you think he's lying?
I don't know. Grant stood strong being like, those words never came out of my mouth.
Well, no, I don't think that he's lying, because I think that it all
truth?
got taken out of context. I don't think that he's saying like, no, I specifically didn't say I was thinking of Rose while I was dancing with Carolina.
It was a mutual breakup.
It was a mutual breakup?
I see what you're saying.
Yes.
Leia, I get what you're throwing down.
She's not wrong.
I'm
Rose.
just saying.
No,
Sometimes
but Grant was very adamant that he did nothing even remotely close. Grant
He
wasn't
took it
like,
offensively. He was like, you're lying on my character.
Grant wasn't like, listen, like I was trying, like I didn't say it like that, and you knew I didn't say it like that, and for you to take that and go back to Carolina, like felt like very disingenuous of you. He could have easily handled it that way, and he didn't. He was like, I didn't fucking say that shit.
Right. But then to Leia's point, he also did not get rid of her for lying on his name. He said everyone makes mistakes and deserves second chances, so here's
So you
your
think
rose.
that's him covering his ass rather than him being like, I don't know.
That
He's
felt like
But
a
it just wasn't-
producer
I
being
think-
like, maybe let's keep her another round.
Yeah, there was definitely that. That's almost certainly the answer. Another more like acceptable answer. He's just like, I don't know, like who do I have left to choose from? He's like Rose, Alli Jo, and he's like, I don't know. Well, I'm not going to end up with
Chloe.
either of them. So he's like, I don't know. I kind of liked making out with Rose a little bit more than Alli Jo. So let's keep Rose for a week.
I don't know. I think that there was more to the story. I mean, she's just gonna make up a complete. I mean, she says that I remember that happening. Like,
No, she said,
I don't know, there must have been
maybe I misheard. She didn't stand strong being like,
She
no,
was
I know he
not
said that.
adamant.
Like, he definitely said that. She was like, okay, well, maybe I misheard him.
But also, what is she supposed to say when Grant's like,
yeah.
She
you're
was
ruining my
giving, I
character?
was running my mouth and gossiping and having fun. And I never imagined this would get back
little
to
bit.
you.
Because
and
did
I
you hear
called
what
out.
she said when she was like, that was a private conversation between me and Carolina? It's like she was like jaw dropped that Carolina brought it back to Grant. And she's like, we were just like, I thought we would never get brought up again.
I think her only defense of Rose, because I think Carolina is kind of shady.
Well, Carolina didn't tell him. He did process of elimination to get to Rose.
Well, she has epilepsy. So I feel like maybe that, she was dating a DJ.
Was it a little weird?
And I feel like maybe that's why they broke up. He's like, you have to support me. And she's like, I can't go to the raves.
But that's the
it's
thing.
a little, it's a little too much light.
It ended up being sadder than we
ableist.
imagined.
It was sad.
We had
And Grant was crying.
we had Latia,
Uh-huh.
her story. We had 3 stories this episode.
Mhm.
3 stories. We had a story from Latia, we had a story from Grant, and we had a story from Carolina. To recap, Latia's story, that her father, as a 3-month-old child, and I, as a new dad, like nothing hits harder than the idea that the ability to raise my daughter and be her father was stolen from me because of a tragic car accident, and that her father's life was stolen from her, and she lost this from her father. It's a devastating story, worthy of many, many tears. Latia was composed. There was a couple tears. It was a beautiful cry. It was a sad, sad story. Grant had to open up about his father, who is still thankfully with us, but had to open up a very, very vulnerable topic of his dad struggling with addiction. And obviously the turmoil and trauma that can come between a family and a father and son dynamic. Very sad story. It's deeply sad. Grant did not cry. He kept it together. Then we have Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
At 17, she tragically had a seizure and was very embarrassed. And she cried a lot. It was very sad because of her epilepsy.
Who judges someone for having a disease?
That was
Yeah.
her thing, is that when she was having the tremors and seizures in front of young kids, she was like, I shouldn't feel bad for something that I'm struggling with.
No, somebody had a seizure in the middle of a grocery store, and it was very apparent that like nobody knew what to do. Besides, thank God there was like one like medical professional that was shopping that day.
Sadly, I have loved ones who deal with epilepsy. It's if not treated, it can be very serious. People have lost their lives. It's it's nothing to be messed with. You should definitely consult with your medical professionals if you have any symptoms.
The way it was delivered was a little heavy.
I think she was more so saying it because it's like being with somebody with epilepsy is like could be different. She was saying like this is what a life with me could be like, and it's not easy for somebody to be with somebody with epilepsy, and it could have been like maybe she's had relationships end in the past.
She did. She had the
because of
DJ
it,
who was
and so
like,
it's
he picked the bright lights over her. I get it.
She was saying that she's like uninvited from events because her family and friends like worry about her. And so it's like it does affect her life of like people don't include her.
No one has to tell me more that it's real trauma.
But the group date with Lisa Vanderpump at Vanderpump Dogs. Let's talk about that.
I feel like Serafina was like more excited to see Lisa Vanderpump than she was to realize she was on a reality TV show.
Right. Well, before we get into this date of Lisa Vanderpump, we need to address Lisa Vanderpump's comments that she recently gave regarding Ike Kennedy's
trash.
Yeah, I stand with Kristen Doty.
She should have just not spoken.
100%.
What was her statement? Can we bring it up?
Okay, so Lisa Vanderpump spoke to Us Weekly, an exclusive. She said, I've spoken to James and Alli at great length. The first and most important thing for me was to know what happened exactly. I didn't need to just hear from James. I needed to hear from Alli too. From her mouth, what happened. She told me categorically he didn't hurt her. He never hurts her. They were both drinking. According to Lisa, Kennedy and Luba were both being ridiculous and arguing, which resulted in someone calling the police. Lisa Vanderpump said that Alli basically said, oh yes, take him away. It'll teach him a lesson. But no, he didn't hurt her categorically.
So now she's accusing Alli of playing a prank on James is kind of like a...
No, I don't think that's what... I think
literally is saying that she says...
I don't think prank is the right word.
Like to teach her boyfriend a lesson to like not yell at her is to take him to jail.
So they got, according to Lisa Vanderpump, they got in a little like silly argument and they were messing around. And then Alli, because whatever the reason, felt like she needed to teach James a lesson, even though he did nothing wrong other than disagree with Alli. And Alli then sent him to prison.
No,
Jail?
First she told the police that she was picked up and thrown across the room.
But I'm just saying, according to Lisa Vanderpump.
According to Lisa Vanderpump.
No, I know. But are we just completely discrediting what the police wrote? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, is Lisa
is.
just completely discrediting?
Yeah,
but
Lisa is saying categorically.
I want to break down Lisa's statement. And Lisa's statement is accusing Alli of essentially playing a prank on James to teach him a lesson, using law enforcement and calling the cops to...
Like a beyond scared straight kind of situation.
Yeah, that's what she's accusing Alli of. Making no mention that like this silly argument resulted into Alli breaking up with James, moving out, and deciding not to get back into that relationship.
Yeah, that's what she's saying.
Kristen Doty responded to Lisa Vanderpump's statement and said, absolutely and disgustingly diabolical. I will never, ever be okay with this constant abuse enabling behavior. To have the audacity to dumb down not only facts, but also feelings makes me sick to my stomach. To every woman who is a survivor of DV and wasn't believed or supported, I'm so sorry.
I think Kristen said it all.
Yep.
It's not a good look for LVP, that's for sure.
It is not
a terrible look.
But it's standard to how she's been. She'll defend Jack. She defends Short. She defends Sandoval. She defends every single person, goes against the woman. And now you're saying that like Alli is a silly goose who is like, yes, police were called, but let me send him to jail to teach him a lesson. Like, that's ridiculous.
They were both being ridiculous.
Like, no.
Yeah.
It's the language around it too, just minimizing.
And now because, and I don't know what happened behind closed doors or why James wasn't charged with anything. I can make guesses and assumptions, but because they didn't move forward with this, now LVP and anyone else is in a position to kind of like low key blame Alli or like
scapegoat.
She was being ridiculous. She taught him a lesson. It's like she broke up with him. So it's like what? So
you just would have thought that LVP would have had a more PR like neutral statement, you know?
Just being like I don't stand for any violence, period.
In any relationship.
And like,
But
that could have been her statement.
Her only statement was, well, she was teaching him a lesson and that didn't actually happen.
Yeah.
It's also like if clearly James Kennedy is sick. He has addictions.
But yeah, his addictions, like it's always stated as like an excuse.
I'm not saying it as an excuse. I'm saying that this is clearly what happens when he's drunk. I don't know what happens when he's not drunk. I'm sure it's
A result.
correct. And I think it lies more with like he cannot acknowledge the fact that when he is drunk, he is violent towards people in his life. And I think that is where this like issue with me is. I can understand like people have addictions and it makes them do things out of character or out of pocket. I've seen it with my own eyes, and like, and then when they're sober, when they're not on drugs, they're a completely different person. I get that. But it's like the fact that he isn't able to sit back and say, I do this when I am drinking or I do this when I'm not drinking is like a problem for me.
And Lisa also has at least 4 seasons where there is confrontations with James and a female. So it's like for you to act like you don't know that this is a part of his history and therefore undermine not only the history of what he's done, but then have another current situation to where now you're putting the blame on the person whom it actually happened to. Like, it's sick.
She's discrediting every woman who's ever spoken out against James Kennedy.
Yeah, because it's not like this is like a random allegation. It's like, no, there's proof of evidence of his behavior repeatedly while he was an employee of your restaurant, of your TV show, and yet you won't say anything. He's no longer employed by you, and yet you still will not acknowledge the fact that his behavior is disgusting.
It's crazy.
Crazy.
She's also a big advocate for abuse against people that abuse pets and dogs.
I was going to say against animals. Not
well,
women.
she pointed out in this episode that she likes animals more than people.
Yeah.
So maybe.
Well, that's clear.
Yeah.
Clear.
You know, not that you should be physically abusing animals or people, but clearly we know where Lisa stands. Hopefully she's not going to hook any of these ladies up with James.
Yeah.
I mean, knowing Lisa.
Yeah, she'll have them wash dogs for her for free. So, hey, that's great. Would you rather be washing dogs? Would you rather be on a private jet to Vegas?
Oh, true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Talk about short end of the group date stick.
Yeah. Imagine one of the group dates is going to the Beverly Center and then the other one is a private jet. I would be so mad.
They did have good chemistry when they were jumping off the building, though.
Yeah.
I was like, that's giving couple goofy energy.
No, I loved Patricia and him doing the chubby bunny.
That too?
That was so funny.
I'm rooting for her. I want her to win. I love
Which
her.
one is she?
Mariska.
Patricia is the one who did the PowerPoint.
She has the rocks.
She did, yeah.
The
she did
PowerPoint.
She's kind of a little weirdo. I like her.
Yeah, I like
I'd
her.
hang out with her. Yeah.
It looks like Latia is going to win.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
I told you all that. Should we get into some Salt Lake City? Brittany came. Brittany showed up.
Did she ever?
Did she?
Why wasn't she in the first 2
ever?
episodes?
Because she's a
friend
friend
of.
of. But the best is she's like, where's my grand entrance? What? Like, hello, roll the
I
carpet
should be
out.
back there. I should be back there.
Yeah,
This is
at
ridiculous.
the end, she's
I
like,
thought she was going to storm in.
They do her so
too.
dirty.
Why am I not? I've been working on a Brittany, you guys. Why
But
am I
she's
not
so
out
right.
there?
She's so right.
She
This
is.
was This was so much more enjoyable than her not being out there. I don't understand.
And then they brought her out and they were like, well, actually, we have your casting tape. And I was like, oh my
Oh.
God.
Her laughing
just
about
want-
her being estranged from her children was insane. And then to like point the finger at Bronwyn and be like, you did this while she's in her casting video, be like, I'm estranged from my kids.
They won't talk
So
to me.
There's drama there.
My kids just
Like
don't
you're pitching you not having a relationship with your daughters as a reason to get on this show is crazy.
She
But
is
she
made
does-
for TV.
And the text from Jared Osmond to Bronwyn.
Whew. Can we read it?
Disgusting.
I guarantee I am twice the size of any man you've ever been with. I could certainly pick apart all of your anatomy, but I'll remain classy in the public eye and
Why
keep
is
it
he
between you and
guaranteeing
me.
that?
Why is he DMing other women?
Yeah, why does he think it's okay to speak to anyone that way?
Why is Jared Osmond?
Literally.
Why is Jared Osmond?
What does that mean
Why-
between you and me?
You mean not,
So
not, and not
true.
Heather
Jared
coming
Y.
to his
Osmond,
defense because of
even.
his last name.
Literally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not a good
I
look.
would never put micro penis and an Osmond in the same sentence.
I never hated Heather more than in that moment.
That moment.
Yeah.
And this was after last week when I was just like, Heather, you're like the future of the
It-
show, and
it-
you should be like the leader and like rise up. And I'm like,
No,
It
her
was
Mormon
bizarre-
trauma came back up as soon as the word Osmond got uttered.
oh my god,
It
I
was
just,
bizarre
shit-
that
sit
she
the fuck
was
down.
not supporting Bronwyn and women and being like, well, you did say he had a micro penis, so he kind of has like right.
And
to-
she didn't even say it. It
Yeah,
was said to
like,
her.
She was
Yeah.
part of a conversation that, like, that was upsetting for and then even for Mary to be like, I like Jared. He's never done anything. It's like you just heard the text he read, like sent to
Okay, but Mary's
your
Mary.
co-star. I know, but it's like if I hear someone sending that text to anyone, I'm like immediately I have a different opinion of that person, whether it was sent to me or sent to you.
100%.
It's like if they're capable of saying those words, I don't want to. I don't like that person.
And I am definitely comfortable with this double standard.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't care what Bronwyn might have texted Jared Osmond, but for Jared, or is it Osmond?
She didn't
She
text
texted
him
it.
anything.
Other way around.
Whatever. But even if she did, for Jared to write Bronwyn that message and in that tone and be comfortable speaking to women that way,
Mm-hmm. You're
Even-
sick.
like, if you think there's a level, like, yeah, it's like that. It's not it's barely this person it's an acquaintance. Like, it's not even a friend.
She's
This is
a married woman. Thank you.
You're
Yeah.
talking about your penis size because, like, you heard a rumor. Like, if you're so, like, why would that bother you? If your dick's so big, it doesn't bother you.
100%.
It just doesn't.
And you're all
Yeah.
sleeping with Bronwyn, so why do you care what she thinks of you?
He's the Chet Hanks of the Mormon
Yes,
church.
he's just
Yes.
exactly.
Yes.
And honestly, I think that's disrespectful to Chet Hanks because, like, every once in a while,
he says something funny.
yeah,
Yeah.
every once in a while, like,
He
I
has
fuck
white
with
boy
that
summer?
guy.
Yeah.
I can fuck with that guy.
Yeah. Jared, be more like Chet.
Did you also hear Brittany constantly saying that, like, Jared, and he kept texting single women, and I was like, why do you keep clarifying that he's texting single women? Because did you get in trouble recently for only texting married women?
I mean, they're back together currently today, so
Well-
it's like I can't. I just.
She is still actively following him. I just checked.
Yeah,
And
and
he's on private,
Who's
though.
following who?
Brittany's following Jared, but I can't see Jared's
It's-
account because it's private now.
Well, they're
But
together.
It said
Angie
on
K
the-
is following Jared still.
It said on the reunion, like edit, they are back together since filming this.
December is when they did the official post.
She's
So
a star.
My favorite is that she kind of used like love bombing, like it's a verb or something. She was just like, and then he love bombs me, and he's so good at
love-bombing
love
me.
bombing that I'm back. And it's just like Brun's like, if you know he's love bombing you,
I don't think
Does it
she
not wanna do
understands the
that?
What it is,
definition of
not
love
at
bombing.
all.
I feel like maybe she thinks it's like, oh my god,
word
he
love.
loves me so much,
I
and
love
it's
it
like
when
kind
he
of like a
bombs me.
And flowers. It's like, and I love you with flowers.
literally.
Mhm.
she admitted she might not be mature. I was
She
like,
did
okay,
admit that.
We got
Yeah.
something.
She's
I
like,
may be
admit that.
immature.
She was like, that was kind of endearing. She's like, I do have maturity issues.
But nothing else she could understand.
Well, that is an all-encompassing flaw.
Immature?
If you're in your how old is she? 60, 50? I don't want to.
60.
I mean, my mom's 62.
She might be.
She might be in her.
She might be.
Brit.
You can't really find it on the internet. I know I had to find her year of birth.
Anyways, if she's in her 50s, acknowledging
She's
has
53.
if she has an immaturity issue,
Yeah.
that's kind of bad at 53.
Yeah, it's like, is it a flaw or is it like a characteristic of yours now? You know what I mean?
Kind of who you are.
Yeah, it's like it's ingrained in you.
And if you are immature, what does that also lead to and cause? It kind of, again, it's all encompassing.
it's giving chaos.
She
which-
also really stuck to her guns about Meredith throwing up, which it bothers me that Meredith has like the biggest reaction to this. It's like, bitch, you think I was throwing I wasn't throwing up? What a fucking weirdo. Like, I wish she'd just be like, no, but Meredith gets so activated by Brittany being like, no, there's a specific sound to throwing up, and I definitely
because
heard.
Brittany says it in such a like a. It's like you simultaneously know she may have no idea what she's talking about, but at the same time she says in a way where she's like so convinced, and she can't be reasoned with.
Yeah.
Which is Meredith.
And
Like,
that's all Meredith has is reason.
is reason.
At least in her mind.
It's like for Meredith to argue with Brittany is like, it's like square peg round hole.
Yeah.
It just doesn't
Doesn't
compute because Meredith is so much smarter than Brittany. And to talk to somebody who is just truly not going to understand anything you're saying because of her perspective.
Brittany, which
We
one
love
is the
you.
truth? She's like, well, all of them. They were all kind of.
I still
true.
believe her, by the way.
It breaks Meredith's brain.
I believe her version. At this point, they emotionally beat her up so much in that moment that if she had
It was
any like intentions
traumatizing.
of it was though for someone
Yes,
as sweet
it
as
was.
that was brutal.
It was brutal.
I guarantee you, Brittany has convinced herself that she never meant to record
No,
these women.
she's
wasn't.
convinced herself that the editing team has elongated the amount of time she was recording, and she still stands by the fact that it was only 2 to 3 seconds. And she's like, no, they made it longer. And Andy was like, they can't do that.
20 seconds while people are screaming gives 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Well, Mary said, get over it. It's done. And hopefully you are too. She's had no time for Brittany's nonsense.
Did you see when Meredith was talking about how she's like a forgiving person and people deserve second chances? And Brittany was like, well, what about me? Like,
what about me?
Do you forgive me? Do you forgive me? She's like, of course.
She did.
We're talking about
and
a
then
woman who's in
immediately she was like,
prison.
and you were throwing up. So, well, you were throwing up.
Yeah.
Well, what's worse, calling Monica or calling Jen Shaw? Because that was the whole conversation.
Receiving a call from Jen Shaw.
But answering the call, being on the call list, which is a question Whitney said of like, Heather, are you on her call list? I had a friend once who was in prison and you have to be like approved to be on their call list. And you like, that's
I do not know prison protocol.
Yep. Well, that's one of them. Got to be on the call list. And so Meredith has been like, yeah, sure. You can add my number on there. And yeah, you can call
You have to
me.
get approved to be on the call list?
Mm-hmm. You think they're going to let you call like...
Yeah, but that's
I mean, maybe it's different state by state.
It's
I don't
one
know.
more step. It definitely, like Meredith had, that's basically saying Meredith had 2 chances to reconsider her choice.
But it is crazy.
It makes it more premeditated.
It is crazy that Jen Shaw was able to say what she said about Meredith's children and Meredith to like forgive her, which she sat on this couch and she told us about that call and about having that conversation with Jen Shaw. But I guess for me, yeah, it's like, and this is where I stand with Lisa on this. It's like, if you fuck with Nick or River, like you are dead to me. Like and it's like the fact that Jen Shaw was able to fuck with Meredith's kids and she still takes her calls.
And Monica made it.
Again, Lisa talks shit about other people's families all the time.
100%.
And she's on this episode, like going at Whitney, being like, you came for John and you came him in. And if you do that, So it's like, okay.
But again, Monica made a fucking roast page about a group of women on a show she wasn't on at the time and about her awful person, boss. I don't even know what the fuck the relationship between them were, but like, how is she worse than Jen Shaw defrauding the elderly and taking advantage of people and lying until the day that she had to confess?
I am not here to say what these women should do with Jen Shaw, but if they are going to give Jen Shaw grace, you have to give Monica grace.
100%.
I agree.
I think the producer should say, if you want one back, you have to get the other back.
Boom. Well, that would be.
I think that if they were both back on Salt Lake City, the entire show would implode, and that the balance that they've reached would be completely ruined.
Well, this balance can't stay forever.
Yeah,
I know.
Fuck balance.
But let me have it for a couple more seasons.
Well, they're coming back next season, so
I know.
Well, and
I can't take much more of Lisa. Period.
Yeah, I mean, if Jen, never mind. I'm not gonna say. What
And I
was
guess I just need someone to like. Lisa has had, again, I'm not the historian on Salt Lake that you guys are, but it sure seems like since Jen Shaw has been in prison, Lisa has risen to her throne. It's Lisa's world. She's Queen Bee. It's her show. It's her universe. She's the shot caller. She has her minions. Yeah, you got like some of the other women like combating. You got Browen, but like and before it was Jen Shaw.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's like, I'm just kind of tired of Lisa being in charge, in control. The show's centered through and around Lisa. I think we need something else.
I think we also need people not going after Lisa. Because I will say, like, after this reunion, like, looking back, every season, it's people kind of attacking Lisa's character. So she's always responding in defense.
Sure. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We need something else, but something stronger, something...
Monica.
Yeah.
We need Monica.
100%.
We need the only one that can take Lisa Barlow down is Monica.
Or just so much of a distraction that they they lay off of Lisa. They Lisa's antics seem less threatening because you have to deal with Jen Shaw and Monica.
Or Lisa can actually be a friend because she doesn't have to defend herself.
Well, they
first.
And then that will give the opportunity for people to come together.
But that's why it was so great watching them finally get to that point, Whitney and Lisa, and just burning it and hugging and calling it a day, letting each other know if you say this, if you do that, pour the gas.
Heather,
Give me Mary. Give me Monica, give me Whitney, give me Angie on Team Alpha, and then give me Jen, give me Heather, give me Lisa, give me Meredith. Give me Browen on Team Alpha. We'll put Brittany on Team Bravo.
I don't think Jen Shaw needs to be awarded with the TV show.
I don't either. I agree with you.
I don't think Jen, people have used the word deserve. No, this is TV. No one deserves a second chance on TV. No one deserves a first chance on TV. So I don't think anyone deserves it. But if they're going to bring them back,
she is good TV. I'm on the unpopular side of bring her back 10 years later. Not yet.
No,
but...
I have Angie now, and like Angie
exactly.
gives
and I love
me
Angie too.
the one-liners, and she doesn't have. She might go low, but it's just not like Jen Shaw. I feel grimy low.
But you need someone to throw the glass at the cameraman every once in a while.
Lisa.
That's a joke, but
Exactly. I think the thing is like maybe Jen comes back healed. Maybe Jen comes back with her anger issues, like figured out where she is not fighting with vitriol and hate and disgust. But the thing about these girls is as much as they're fighting and as much as they hate each other, it's all out of joy. They are enjoying doing this. They're enjoying throwing these. When Angie blacks out and says someone has one foot on a banana peel, she is doing that out of like a joy of fighting. And I think that Jen Shah is doing it out of like such a deep place of like meanness and hatred that it just like sucks all the air out of the room, and I don't enjoy it on my TV screen.
There's a reason why they tell like recovering addicts and alcoholics like don't go back to the same group of friends, the same group of people that you were doing all of this stuff that was making you feel like these choices were right. I feel like Jen Shah being put back into this group of women, she's going to have that like reaction where it's like, now I'm back in my element, even though I'm healed or a better version of myself. She's going to slowly start slipping into like the petty bullshit trying to make television. And it's like, if you're going to heal, but like what she did was absolutely disgusting. So I'm like, I don't think that she deserves a platform.
It's hard to disagree.
But her with her whole giant closet of fake luxury, like they would tear her to shreds immediately.
Well,
like I feel like it would be like just good TV of like.
But they had 4 seasons to do it, and no one could step up to Jen Shah.
That's
so
true.
that's where it's like,
That is
no,
true.
she
And
needed.
Heather's definitely not going
Well,
to.
even Heather looked completely broken, whereas like Meredith talking about having spoken to Jen and whatnot. And it's like the woman gave her a black eye. Like,
Yeah.
why are we sitting here pretending
So
that
bring Monica back.
my thoughts
Bring
are
100%, yes.
100% bring Monica back.
I've been saying that.
We're never going to.
They wanted to.
But also my favorite too is Lisa talking to Angie, trying to like reason out things with Meredith. And she was like, Meredith is a lawyer. I'm a fucking hairstylist. Like she should be taking me to town. Like,
Hilarious.
why are you stepping in and defending the lawyer when let the lawyer speak for herself?
Mm-hmm.
I love Angie.
Went
Did
to
you know-
law school,
Good
never
talk.
actually practiced law. I'm going to miss these girls so much on the off season.
All right. Well, I think that will wrap up today's episode. Thank you to our guests, Derrick and Alli Jo. Tomorrow we have a very special, amazing Going Deeper with none other than Britney Spears' ex-husband, Sam Asghari. You know him from Traitors. If you have been wondering about who this man is, what is he all about, what did Britney see in him, you will not want to miss this episode. I was kind of blown away. Man has a lot to
Good
say.
man.
Yeah.
Man has a lot to say, and he says it tomorrow on Going Deeper. We'll see you then. Bye. Hey guys, if you loved what you listened to, make sure you hit that subscribe button below. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.